Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for AEW Spark in 3, 2, 1. All Elite Wrestling discussion is live. Cue host Noah Foster.
Let's go ahead and shed some light on Dark. We continue to see Rage go forward on Rampage. What a ridiculous no-holds-barred fight! An opening clash on AEW Dynamite as we once again reignite the conversation on All Elite Wrestling right here on AEW Spark. So welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, all Elite faithful, professional wrestling fans and friends, FTW, and Wrestling for Fortune enthusiasts. You know what this is, for I am the simple man of the simple brand. And my name is Noah Foster, here with you once again to discuss all things All Elite Wrestling right here on AEW Spark. But this week I am not alone, as I am with my color commentary cohort for all things AEW, James Hebert. So, James, how are you? It's been a wild week once again, to say the least. If nothing else, Wednesday night left a lot for discussion.
Yes, and I feel like it's been ages since I actually have done an AEW discussion, period. Because I think, what was the last one? After All Out, and then everything went to shit. Now it's finally starting to get back into good graces again. Yeah. With everything finally coming together. By the way, I don't care what Rollins says. He's coming back. They already have promotion. Chill. Anyway.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, once again, things just continue to escalate in the industry. AEW continues to just put the pedal on the gas, full throttle, as we build our way to AEW Revolution. Of course, occurring March 5th. Stay tuned, of course, for Simply Predicting and live commentary coverage across the Championship Network, multiverse of media, and my simple brand. But until then, as far as tonight goes, let's get right in.
Before we get into it, also programming notes, since we're talking about programming notes.
Yeah, go for it.
This week's WWE Aftershock, which is kind of co-aligns with AEW Spark, that covers all the WWE news. That's going to be next Saturday. So this upcoming Saturday, they're going to be covering the next couple weeks because Owen, unfortunately, everything just got in the way. So that's when it's going to happen. So this time Saturday, AEW Spark, or by the time you see this Sunday, we're going to be recording it Saturday. So be on the lookout for WWE Aftershock for those wondering about that. Good
deal. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This should be a pretty simple night discussion, too, as, of course, we talked about last week's episode of AEW Elevation, because it was this milestone 100. So this week, we're going to talk about the previous week's Dark, Dynamite, and Rampage. However, starting next episode, folks, we will go in normal fashion, discussing the week from beginning to end, including Monday Night Elevation. I just figured we'd line things up then to continue the formula that we left off with last week. So let's get right into what we left off with, and that was AEW Dark, of course, emanating from Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. This was the January 31st edition, and our opening bout was Trios action as AR Fox and Top Flight took on the Wingman. Seriously, how do they keep giving enough airfare for that three-piece sax band? It's beyond me. Yeah, Peter Avalon, Ryan Nemeth, and Cesar Bernoni in six-man tag team action. As you would expect, Top Flight and AR Fox, they gel so incredibly well as a trio ever since within the Three Kings Battle Royal. And of course, AR Fox and Top Flight, they did win with what they call the Rocket Launcher Cutter. Impressive stuff. Now that's fancy. We move on from there.
Real quick before you continue with everything. Peter Avalon looks way different than the last time I saw him. And it actually looks like he fucking belongs in this group. So I don't know what he's doing ever since he just became a dark man, pretty much. Because he's going on per appearance deal, right?
It feels like at this point, yeah. I mean, he was recently involved in AEW Strong, challenging for the Strong Championship.
Oh, there you go. So, whatever he's been doing, keep doing, because the dude looks ripped to shit. I was actually taken aback, so good on Peter Avalon.
And Norm Burnham, for, his stake in the industry, he's made sure that he's become a part of something that you will constantly know who he is. And he keeps it fancy. So, kudos to him. As we move on to our second match, it was time to stir it up with Red Velvet ahead of her TBS Championship clash, we will talk about, of course, as she took on Sofia Castillo. Castillo, nice mule kick at one point, rocking her, but apparently Red Velvet had the right mix and got the win in the end with the modified short arm scissors, showing a different side of her. Look at her expanding her recipe, modifying what she does in the kitchen. I did not expect Red Velvet to use a submission here. It's the first time I can recall her actually winning via submission. But again, to move forward in this industry, you have to adapt on the fly. You have to constantly want to improve and expand your game. And against somebody like Jade Cargill, that might be the thing she needed or needs to overcome her strength. Yeah. So good on her. As we move on from there, we go to Jersey as the reality, Zach Clayton took on Ohio Present, making his AEW Dark debut, Madman Fulton. And of course, Fulton had the advantage here with his sheer size and power. Heavy body shots. Goes for the powerbomb, but Clayton, of course, counters out of it. And then, once again, dirty tactics. What'd you expect from the Jersey Shore? There's nothing fair about that place. And Clayton gets basically 2 mean bat breakers over the knee, and then connects with the arm-hooked brainbuster for the 1, 2, 3 after pulling the men's dreads. Again, always go for the hair. I guess it's not a woman thing. Go freaking figure. The reality is, this guy keeps making sure that he wins. At least in AEW Dark. I don't know what he's doing in life. As we move on from there, it was tag team action as Flying Brian Pillman Jr. tagged alongside Brock Anderson, generational star, of course, with his father, the enforcer of the Horsemen, Arn Anderson. They took on the duo of Dean Alexander and Rosario Grillo. Try saying that 3 times fast. Some pretty good back and forth stuff here. Pillman applies a front face lock to slow things down. Then Grillo, of course, backs Pillman into the corner to try and take advantage. Then Pillman, when he's dealing with Dean Alexander, he literally kicks the man straight in the dang face. And then unloads with 2 knife-edge chops. And then finally, Anderson barely did anything. I'm just going to put that in here because he didn't have to. What do you expect? He's the enforcer, right? He just has to make sure that things get done in the end. Boy, did he. Gourd Buster. Game over. Grillo, Arrivederci, and Pillman and Anderson pick up the win. With how many times they've been going about this whole Pillman-Anderson connection. Anderson worked with Lee Johnson at one point. Pillman was with Griff Garrison, if whoever the heck that is. I don't know if the man's injured or not, by the way. As far as I'm concerned, since we have the varsity athletes, I guess the varsity blinds is officially over, but whether or not Brian Pillman goes full on loose cannon, I think that's just going to come down to can his momentum be halted, why for right now, it seems to be on an upswing.
Which is weird because he's on more of an upswing ever since he left Griff. And it's weird because I don't think it had to be that way. I don't. I think he was good enough to be Griff was actually a pretty good athlete.
Agree.
I think they just screwed over the Varsity Blondes hard as an act. It really could have gotten over. Maybe it was just something Brian wasn't interested in anymore. Maybe it got stale for him, but it's like they didn't even try. I remember the last time we saw them, they were getting job down on Dynamite, and they barely did anything about the whole Julia Hart joining the frickin' House of Black.
And look who came out superior in the end.
Yeah, and they didn't even do a frickin' follow-up to blow off the feud. At the very least, have, Kings of the Black Throne versus the Varsity Blondes. They don't even do that on Dynamite. So, I don't know. It was weird. Very inconclusive, but at this point, I just want to see Brian Pillman succeed. It stinks that it had to kind of come at Griff Garrison's expense for seemingly no reason.
Well, I hope there's a real reason. I do hope he comes back because I do understand where you're coming from. But I don't know, again, if he's injured or dealing with family circumstances or even contract negotiations. But also creating differences is easy for others to say. That also basically can define the industry and also can define a tag team. But again, as soon as Julia Hart went full dark and the varsity athletes became a thing, it was pretty much that's all, folks, for what you once known as the Varsity Blondes. So, again, maybe we'll get some fallout with Brian Pillman versus Griff Garrison. Maybe they'll turn that into a kayfabe storyline. Only time will tell.
I really liked how Brian looked, by the way, here. Just want to put that out there. He looked really good here.
He's fine-tuned, to say the least. Again, what you expect from a Pillman. As we move on from there, talking about fine-tune, it was Red versus Blue. Sky Blue! as Sky Blue took on returning Renee Michelle. And these two, this is no first-time encounter for those that have followed them on the independent side of things. Some good back and forth. Here at one point, Michelle slams Sky Blue's head to the top turnbuckle pad. Ouch! And then we have a forearm shiver exchange. Blue with the rising knee strike, though. Then fresh kick. Again, the only girl I know that can kick it in Chuck Taylor's and make it mean something. Just saying. As we continue the back and forth exchange here, Michelle had a roll through with bridging German suplex, normalized for those that put in the simple turns for a nice 2 count. Goes for a body slam, but then Sky Blue, again, her agility, gets back on her feet, super kicks Renee Michelle, and then connects with the Sky Fall for the victory. So again, as Sky Blue continues to show us how far she's grown in and out of AEW, again, appearance-based, as we all know, still not officially all elite, but still baffles me to a degree.
That's really weird. And you know,
I always am impressed with what she does in the ring.
I loved both of these women in the ring, by the way. They both really, you could tell they have chemistry. And I think,
no doubt.
I think Renee Michelle is another shocker because I've seen her more than once. I think her first appearance was like on the second ever Dark. I remember seeing her. So like she's been around for a while. I'm surprised that she's not signed. Sky Blue is not signed. Maybe it's just because they're not trying.
Too many signed already.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just put it out there. Let's just put it out there, James. The thing about this industry, there is so much quantity, especially nowadays, that it kind of overwhelms the quality, and that's when people start really getting on the tirade about booking.
Right.
You don't have enough spots for everybody, and so here you go. And plus, there are those that want to work beyond just one company. See it all the time with those across Impact Wrestling and NJPW particularly.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because this is the idea that I had. Since it's such a thing at this point that, you know, you got a bunch of people coming in to other companies under AEW contract, why not throw a bone to Impact or the NWA? Especially the NWA, considering they really need to build their tag division. So it's not just 3 or 4 teams all the time. Impact a little less so because even with like 6 or 7 teams, Gail Kim pretty much knows what she's doing. But a couple of teams built by AEW sending them over there couldn't hurt things. So I think, I don't know, it's weird because I think you and I, probably more than anybody else, are like big proponents of making women's wrestling, and especially women's tag team wrestling, mean something in this country.
Yeah.
And, you know, anything to improve that, I think, is only beneficial not only for AEW or Impact or NWA, but just wrestling as a whole. Because some sides got to do
collaboration. Well, it's like I said, collaboration would help things go further than competition. But at the end of the day, we got to consider we are just fans. And for everybody else inside this thing, this is really a business. And if you want business to thrive, you sometimes have to look out for yourself. But at least we are seeing more of that, you know, proverbial shut window open up across everywhere. So I understand where you're coming from. I mean, at one point, I was literally fantasy booking the next Knockouts Not Down, because again, what Gail Kim does with the Knockouts division, including the new tag team she formed that will face off for the first time ever against the Death Dolls this week in Impact Wrestling. Let's freaking go. I'm just saying.
Sounds good.
As we move on from there, talking about tag teams, here's a tag team that pleasantly surprised you on the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view for the first time ever on AEW Dark. Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor and JD Griffey took on the duo of Mr. G. I don't pity this man because I already knew where this was going. And Dante Casanova. At one point, Taylor and Casanova, they are tagged in, the two bigger men. And then Taylor headbutts Casanova. Shane Taylor, man, that is a mean, bad dude out of Cleveland. And, of course, he constantly talks smack because that's just the way he is. Big, you're a nuggy. And then the follow-up splash. And then at one point, Casanova somehow survives that. He ducks a clothesline. And finally, Griffey is tagged in. The guy that you said looks so fine-tuned with his boxing, MMA background and style that really surprised the heck out of you against Keith Lee and Swerve. Excuse me. And then Griffey with the flying forearm smash, and then an STP connects. STP, by the way, folks, is Shane Taylor Promotions, abbreviation. He connects with the package power driver, jumping knee strike. Business is good for
Love that.
STP. They get the victory.
Love that move. That tag move is very simple but so effective.
Yeah, no kidding. Double impact.
I love that. Love that.
First ever win on Dark and their first ever appearance on Dark. Does that mean more? Or again, as we see the AEW system slowly separating itself, maybe some foreshadowing for these Ring of Honor veterans. Considering we know the tapings are going to start soon, and maybe, just maybe, folks, we might cover those here too. Stay tuned. Because again, AEW is separate from ROH despite the fact you see both talents showcase. Just saying. But again, like I said, there's tapings coming up at the end of February, and of course we know Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor during WrestleMania weekend. Again, Lord help us. So I feel like things will definitely come more shape there. As we move on from there was women's action as the magical girl Yuka Sakasaki. I love saying that name. Takes on Avery Bruhl or Bray. Sorry if I screwed up her name. Breaux. And again, Yuka Sakasaki. What?
Bureau?
That might be Bureau, actually, now that I think about it. Avery Bureau?
Every Bureau, I think, yeah.
Bureau. Yeah, that might be it. Sakasaki comes in with the rolling crucifix after a side headlock counter with a simple snapmare exchange. Then Sakasaki goes for a quick roll-up at one point. But again, these two exchange subtly, and then Avery slams Sakasaki's head on the ring apron. Damn. That's one way to turn the match to your favor and almost cause a concussion. But again, Sakasaki, Joshi Pro, Japanese strong style, neck condition. Thankfully. Just saying. One of the strongest disciplines in that culture of wrestling. As Sakasaki fought back with the rebound kick, she hammered down on the back of Avery's neck. I guess one deserves the other, right? And then at one point we have the drive-by for a 2 count, then counter vertical suplex, and then a running cannonball strike in the corner for a 2 count. As we were looking for a pump kick. Not quite Avery. Sakasaki dodges that. Rolling elbow strike, and then the merry-go-round to set up for the magical girl splash. It wasn't a whole new word for Avery here. It was more of the same for Yuka Sakasaki, who got the win. And we are on the road eventually to the clash, no doubt, between Yuka Sakasaki and Athena. I'm sure Athena was watching. Or blowing her off. Maybe both.
I gotta
but
tell
it's so
you,
nice to see Yuka Sakasaki back.
It's funny that we were able to fully pronounce Yuka Sakasaki's full name and not Bureau's last name at the beginning. That's how you know we're wrestling fans, is that we don't know how to pronounce it at first, and then once you hear it enough times, it's like, all right, got it.
Well, I mean, sometimes I just read it left to right, and it's literally spelled like that, folks. Sakazaki. Sakasaki. Meanwhile, Bureau, the accents, and there is no tilde, but yeah, some stuff in the English alphabet, spelling-wise, is much more deceiving than you think. And this goes out to anybody that watches this internationally, and again, we thank you. Arigato. Anyway, as we move on from there, one of my favorite tag teams. Glad to see they finally got a win, but I want to see more of what these guys are capable of, as Dark again is supposed to be the talent showcase and building factory. Workhorsemen did just that against Adrian Alanis and Liam Gray. Again, you have the brawler, heavy hitter style of J.D. Drake, and then you got the more hybrid, unorthodox, speed-based style of Anthony Henry. At one point, we have Gray stepping in with Drake into the turnbuckles, and then there's a leaping back elbow smash. Good grief almighty. Alanis with corner drop kick. And I like the fact that both teams had a fair amount of opposition against each other here. It didn't really feel one-sided. Gray with the diving crossbody, and then Alanis goes for that press, only gets a 1 count. It was almost like there was still mostly a filling out process. Bunch of ones in this match. So that just goes to show that these two were learning each other as tag teams, while also showing how far they are as a tag team in their own merit. So it works on both sides of things. As Alanis and Gray gained up on Drake, Drake reverses out of the corner with the Irish whip, and then chops galore, levels Alanis, body avalanche, gets whipped in the corner, and finally we get a Lariato DDT combination as he tags in Anthony Henry. Here's your hot tag spot, folks. Henry with the haluva kick. Hey, I remember somebody else that once used to do that in Ring of Honor named El Generico. Whatever happened to that guy? Anyway. And by the way, haluva is Helluva, just as it's spelled. It's not with a B or some weird letter.
Haluva!
For those that hear it at WWE all the time.
Hey, haluva kick.
It's easier to say than it is to write and spell. That's what that comes down to.
How about bubblegum kick, you know?
Hubba bubba, hubba bubble. Anyway, running cannonball strike and then the cross-legged brain buster, which I think is very clever because it almost adds more impact because the body is so compressed. It's not like it's straight down where it's just shock straight up the body. Either way, the workhorseman got the work done in the end and got the win via pinfall.
There you go. Yeah, it was a really good finish by Anthony Henry. I like that brain buster. I thought he was going to go for the Fisherman driver, but
That's
was
what
really
I
cool.
thought. I thought it was like a modified Michinoku driver, but no, it was a brain buster. So there you go. Sorry, Taka.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, Taka's still the GOAT.
I mean, hey, the man can sport a suit, and the man can still speak. You're not wrong.
There you go.
And, of course, our main event for that edition of AEW Dark was the Japanese sensation himself, now newly All Elite, Konosuke Takeshita, taking on Angelico, bringing his vibe with the SAP, the Spanish announced project. Of course, I'm talking about Chaos Projects, Lufer, and the hardest working man in AEW Dark history, Serpentico. Just saying.
I don't
Go ahead, James.
I don't understand. Like, okay, I understand you needed trios. There were so many other people you could have picked to pair up with Chaos Project, and I like Chaos Project. Luther,
right?
Shout out DPW and all that shit. But,
right.
Bro, why Angelico, number one? Number two, why are you calling them the Spanish Announce Project? I don't ever see them do Spanish commentary.
Maybe they had special appearance, and maybe they're just multilingual.
I could see that being the case with Serpentico, not with Luther. Luther doesn't strike me as a man who knows Spanish.
Luther is much more smarter than people perceive.
Oh no, I know that.
He's just really loud.
Yeah, very, very loud. Listen.
Oh.
Angelico, man, when they launched this Ring of Honor television show and the streaming deal, alright?
Right.
Put Angelico in Ring of Honor in that pure division, man, because this guy is way too talented to not be somewhere on either roster, actually in a prominent position. This guy is so talented in the ring. And
bar none.
And by the way, he's very good on the mic too, which a lot of people don't realize. If you watch his Lucha Underground days, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This guy deserves a lot more than what he's getting right now. And yeah, it's really weird how they... I love this match, by the way. This match was really good between him and Takeshita, but
yeah,
I wish it could have been on a more prominent show, because I feel like it deserved it, considering Angelico hasn't really gotten a prominent position in a long time, and I think that's kind of a shame, especially with a guy like this.
Agreed. Completely agree. Like I said, one of my favorite tag teams to watch was TH2 because they were the difference. They were the standouts. They are hybrid athletes, too. And I knew this was going to be an interesting clash of styles with Konosuke Takeshita's explosive offense versus Angelico's more slower, methodical, technical background. But he did hang with the man for what he could with the help of distractions galore by Lufer and Serpentico, even though it didn't work for much. Starting with the roundhouse kick avoidance earlier by Konosuke Takeshita, being aware of Angelico's playbook. But there was a trip up on the outside, referee distracted by Lufer, and Angelico comes in with the running elbow smash. And then next thing you know, there's a gang up attack, because of course it's a gang up attack, it's a trios affair, right? On the outside for a moment, allowing Angelico to get a 1 count, but at least the early advantage. Forearm jab exchange, Takeshita skins the cat. Again, the man, not just a powerhouse, folks. Very agile. That's why he's known as a sensation, and the fact that he is 5-time KOD champion from DDT Pro. Anyway, inside out lariat. Good lord, Takeshita. And Angelico reverses out of the Irish whip, though, attempt, and once again takes control, launches Takeshita over the top rope, but then hits a left jab, jacking his jaw, as Rigo would say, the jaw. As Takeshita drops Angelico with a slingshot DDT. Man, the impact behind that. 2 count only. We move on from there. Beautiful blue thunderbomb out of nowhere. The revolution with that only yields a near fall. And then we have a rolling crucifix for another near fall. Again, great back and forth action here. As we go towards the ropes, finally get the blue thunderbomb after the previous one was countered, And again, 2 count. Nobody wins with that anymore, seriously. As we get a step up Insiguri. Insiguri, one of the weirdest words to spell, by the way. And then Helico follows up with a La Magistral for a 2 count. For those that don't know, I'm of course talking about Magistral Credo. And we move on from there. And it looked like Angelico at this point, again, feeling his vibe, maybe just instigating his opponent, not necessarily going for the win. Again, you're talking about him, getting the opportunities, taking advantage, and Angelico's going to do his own thing, man. And people just roll with it. Nobody else flows like Angelico. It's as simple as that when it comes to that guy.
Agreed.
Anyway, bridging German suplex for a 2 count by Takeshita, who wrote a thesis on the German suplex, so you know what he's doing when he executes it. Beautiful pinpoint position, bridging, arcing as high as he can. Still not enough. And then follow up with that, we get a pump kick thanks to Lufer. Lufer then yells at the referee to try and get him to focus on the match here. At the Serpentico again, plays distraction factor. Takeshita then follows up with a reverse suplex and then drills in Helico with a brainbuster. Sheer drop brainbuster for a 2 count. And then they won the Ring of Honor World Championship Claudio Castagnoli on a Battle of the Belts last year. In the end, though, Serpentico's taken out of play. Lufer's taken out of play. A V-trigger is a count. V-trigger. Hey, I know who does that move. Bang. V-trigger by Konosuke Takeshita. Of course, I'm talking about the running, jumping flash knee strike. And Takeshita does get the win over Angelico and outsmarts the SAP in the end. I gotta imagine Don Callis was watching from afar too, because he's been scouting. The invisible hand always at work. But like you said, James, great way to close out Dark. Great main event. Great showing by both, despite the shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. No, I enjoyed this. This is a really good match, and again, I feel like you could put this on Dynamite. Maybe a little less so, but definitely on Rampage. I think it should have been on one of those 2 shows this week.
Well, Konosuke Takeshita, of course, looking for, winning the big one.
You know what match they could have done? Because they further angles on Dark all the time, too. They could have put that... Yeah. They could have put that angle... they could have put the match itself with the Acclaimed on Dark this week in replacement of that. Because I just think, you rearrange it a little bit. I think that Angelico and Takeshita had a good match, and it really should be seen by more people. But.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, if nothing else, maybe they think that, okay, YouTube, the first exposure, a different type of set of eyes for an audience that's live. And you see the numbers. There is constant feedback and viewership with YouTube, even if it's a short period of time. So I'm sure there's strategies to this, but I do understand what you mean. But again, you only can do so much with TV. And let's put it out there. The booker may be booking, but the network is still regulating.
Yeah.
Just saying, okay, who's marketable for this? Who's marketable for this? Who draws the eyes? Okay, how can I fit this? I don't think it's coincidental you had a pizza ad during a certain spot with Chris Jericho and a guy that uses a pizza cutter for a living. Just saying. Oh, that was so coincidental.
Yeah, isn't right. Domino's back in the sponsorship deal, or is it Pizza Hut now? I don't remember.
The only commercial I've seen lately for pizza is Pizza Hut, so I'm going to guess it's them.
Okay, fair enough, because it was Papa John's for a bit, and then Papa John's went downhill because of
that's surprising. Shaq,
No, not even not even because of Shaq. It's because of the person who originally ran it, I think.
Oh,
who was the original owner and was on all those commercials, whoever that guy was.
Apparently he wasn't notable enough. Go figure. But I will say this, last week's Dynamite was definitely notable, more particularly for the beginning match and the ending, which is what you want necessarily in wrestling products. Yes. You want the content within to kind of give a little bit of this, that, anything to try and, garner different attention. So let's go ahead and talk about last week's Dynamite that emanated right here from my state. Love when we go all elite. Hated that I couldn't see it live, but it is what it is. Of course, I'm talking about Dan Ohio, their first ever Dan Ohio show from the Nutter Center. And good grief almighty, they stacked this thing. And they kicked off strong and hard with Wild Thing. Welcoming in John Moxley, who took on Heyman and Page. And the friggin' melee happened before they got into the ring. Go figure. They're fighting amongst the audience. What a special spot, though, it was for John Moxley coming back to his home turf here in the state of Ohio, a little bit away from the Cincinnati area, with his father escorting him down to the ring. That had to be a moment for sure.
That's really
Again,
cool.
Says in his book, which I'm still finishing reading, We're the Good Guys. You literally saw the good guys firsthand. And Wheeler Yuta, of course, was also accompanying them. And then it just came into a straight-up smash-mouth, physical, brutal, bloody fight. Just straight-up fight. between Heyman and Page and Jon Moxley. James, go ahead and talk about this match. This was crazy. And I do feel like Jon Moxley didn't get what he was looking for in the end, despite the fact he got the win.
Yeah. Really, really big thing, I think, with this match is every move, there's a little bit more frustration as opposed to a little less.
There was some malice behind some of those impacts,
Yeah,
some
like
of those clotheslines. Let's just put it out there.
The story they're telling with Moxley and Hangman is really, really interesting because it's not a feud that is even at its conclusive stage yet, and it seems like it's getting more volatile by the minute, which makes for very interesting television with these guys. I'm really shocked still that they don't mention much about what Hangman said about him forgetting his daughter and that promo, that whole thing. I think that really can fuel a lot as well, because I think that was the start of this whole thing of them just basically hurting each other so much that they're injuring each other. There was a lot of brawling into the ring. Moxley used his training with William Regal to good use in this match. Showed what he could do. Yeah. At one point, Hangman, I think he went for Deadeye, and then Hangman kicked out, or Moxley kicked out, and he tried to transition into the Bulldog choke, which was really, really sweet. I really liked that. He was trying to use his own move against him just to humiliate him. But
what he thought was the impossible. Remember, the goal here also was to humiliate Jon Moxley in his home turf. That was also Heyman's initiative. Anyway, continue. Or motivation, excuse me.
Yeah, and I think at one point, too, hits a buckshot lariat. Moxley kicks out. The crowd goes mental when he kicks out of this.
Including me.
And I think, if I'm correct, it ended with a roll-up, right? Moxley ended up getting a roll-up win, which made him pissed that he couldn't get like a definitive win against Hangman.
It's almost like it was almost survival in the end because, he rolls Page over on his shoulder, traps the arm, and gets the 3 count after surviving a buckshot lariat tombstone combination.
Right, yep.
After these two exchange kicks, rolling lariats, including the lariat that literally concussed freaking Hangman to a degree, it seems. And then Hangman comes back with a lariat where he almost shatters Jon Moxley's trachea once again. Death Rider counter multiple times, pop-up power bombs, lariatos galore. Again, lariat was the word of this match, bar none. Lariat,
yes.
French chasserie suplex. One of the most brutal spots for me though was the ridiculous avalanche freaking Death Valley driver, and still not enough. Again, there was multiple times when this crowd was about to come out of their seat, including me. And I was just watching it from home. Still pissed off I didn't see it live. But at the end of it, 2 men fighting in the name of pride. Jon Moxley, once again, trying to show why he is AEW. He's also the better man. He also is better than the Hangman. Hangman out to show he could still hang with the best of them. And also, Jon Moxley, don't underestimate me. It felt like here neither man left anything off the table, but it was just sheer survival tactics. Wrestling instincts that allowed Jon Moxley to, I wouldn't say win, but just end this. Because you saw clearly after the bell, he wasn't satisfied. At this point, if you're going to try and literally keep a man down where they are unconscious enough to not even do that, you got to go last man standing. And I think this would be the first last man standing match in AEW history.
Mm-hmm.
What a perfect duo to do it with. I'm just saying.
I agree. And I last man standing would be really interesting because I thought they were going to go the unsanctioned match route, which I feel like they've kind of overdone with Moxley slightly. So I'm glad they're taking a different route with this because I'm really looking forward to what they do in a last man standing capacity. I think the last now it depends on how they do it though. Is it going to be last man standing regular, or is it going to be Texas Deathmatch rules? That's the real question, though.
Or they could totally just flip the script and do a whole different type of match where the only way you win is via knockout or tap out, like they did with Joe Coffey and Rampage Brown on NXT UK.
Yeah, and basically like a fight pit type of scenario without the actual fight pit cage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. It depends on. It really depends on where they go and how they make this more volatile, and
Yeah.
what is going to be the blow off is going to be coming at Revolution between these.
It
two.
has to at this point.
Yeah.
It's worthy of that stage. The story has about to hit its final chapter. It's worthy of that. And again, Hangman Page, he was upset. He flipped the man off and walked away. And Moxley, he wanted to still fight. But once again, Yuta and Claudio, voices, maybe bodies of reason. So far, things have diffused for now. But again, things are far from over. And I've been loving this singles exhibition feud with two former AEW World Champions, where the title right now is the last thing on either man's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of titles, as we go backstage, the Butcher and the Blade are with the Bunny, yay Allie, with Renee Paquette and the Killer, Jamie Hayter. And the Bunny says that she wants a match with Jamie Hayter, as you are a fighting champion, but you don't have to necessarily put the title up against me because I understand I'm qualified for it, but you never bet down for a challenge. Jamie Hayter welcomes it. And then we see on screen, well, I guess Britt Baker's little appearance last week didn't go without some receipts. As Saraya and Toni Storm are backstage attacking Dynamite Breaker DMD in the parking lot as she makes her way into the building. Bunny laughs and Hayter runs off. Damage already done. As we move on from there, listen! The Acclaimed made their way in the day in Ohio for Immediate Action against the bootleg Beverly Brothers, and they won clean as a whistle.
Yeah,
short, sweet, and simple. The
what a
arrival on the mic
squash
drop,
this
and this
was.
thing was over.
I was shocked that they just did a random squash match, and it felt like they were just going to try to further an angle. And
Which they did post-match.
And they did post-match. I just think you could have done the angle itself and got rid of the match and scrapped it completely.
Right.
That's just me. Because I think there was another squash match on Dark that you could have had. I'm sorry, Dark. Rampage that you could have had. What was the one that... it wasn't really a squash, but couldn't they have put Jade Cargill and Red Velvet in the spot? I was just saying. I don't know why they didn't.
I mean, you know.
And I'm talking the match. I'm not talking about the post-match angles, because the post-match angle was interesting. It was the match...
Friction.
Yeah, the match... The squash match with the Acclaim didn't need to happen. If they were going to do it, that should have been on Dark. They should have moved the Jade Cargill Red Velvet match over on this show, and then they should have had frickin' Angelico and Konosuke Takeshita on Rampage. That's how I think the order should have been. But that's just me.
Again, booking. Dang it, booking.
And by the way,
yeah.
if the reason is because Konosuke can't compete twice in one night because Rampage was recorded right after Dynamite, Konosuke has done that more than once. He has done that many times, so I don't think that wouldn't have been an issue.
I'm about to say, I don't think that was the reason. As, of course, Red Velvet and Jade Cargill at the TBS Championship match later in the night on Dynamite. But as far as
do they? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was
why I also said botch to you
reason.
during that.
That was a botch.
Again,
my bad.
Botch. Well, again, Dynamite, it's like we sometimes think they pack too much. Here was the case, but it wasn't so much the fact that, okay, maybe you're just, not giving something enough time. But there's just some stuff that I find unnecessary. The match was unnecessary. The post-match was not. And I feel they could have done this a different way because it really came down to tugging family matters and bringing up the past. As the Guns simply said what they want. They want those. The AEW Tag Team Championships. And they claim it like, you guys aren't even worthy of even challenging for these. No. And the people, we are the people's champ. Oh, I haven't heard that before. And the people said no. But then they instigated Daddy Ass himself when they talked about, why don't you go back and drown your sorrows in the bottom of a pill bottle. Oy.
Yikes. Yeah. Well, they're doing their thing.
And they got what they wanted in the end. Even though the Acclaim were like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, the Acclaim didn't even have consent type of thing.
No, they looked absolutely just shocked, perplexed. But it's official. As, of course, I'll give the Excalibur brief rundown for this week's AEW Dynamite as we talk about this February 6th. But, yeah, it just seemed like to me it was a wasted time slot. But I guess if nothing else, again, booking. You take the opportunity when you can. Good for those two men. A jobber has to be known at some point. So, if nothing else, I guess there's that. And I guess you got paid for it.
Right.
Meanwhile, we are backstage with Alex Marvez with Jungle Boy, who says he's now going to focus on things solo. No more tag teams. Sorry, folks. That's it for Jungle Hook. It was fun, but Jungle Boy Jack Perry has single gold expectations, and I feel for the longest time after the Luchasaurus thing, he really should. So good for him. I wish him all the best in whatever he chooses to pursue, whether it's the AEW World Championship from that sleeper match back at WWF 2020, incredible match by the way with MJF, or the TNT Championship, or maybe even the AEW All Atlantic Championship. He's got options, just saying.
He does.
I'll let you go ahead and take this one as we talk about, you dropped his name like 3 or 4 times already, as Konosuke Takeshita was in in-ring action against the Machine, Brian Cage. And again, great TV match. Brian Cage, is good to see him on screen.
Yes.
Such a phenomenal athlete. And Konosuke Takeshita, this was a good clash of, honestly, both these men kind of had a similar style. We saw the agility, and honestly, it was mostly agility and physicality. There wasn't really a whole lot of technical here, besides maybe a couple of German suplexes. Some stiff counters, a 619 at one point for Brian Cage, and we're not even in the 619 area code. But overall, I really enjoyed this match for what it's worth, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Konosuke Takeshita's looking to win the big one, right? He hasn't won a match yet on Dynamite. He's won a match before on Rampage. He got his first Dynamite win.
Yeah, he did. And he got a hell of a win against Brian Cage, too.
It was not easy.
This was not easy, but it was a really good showing for both guys. I really like that they're actually showcasing Brian Cage. Hopefully,
You forget he's a 6-man champion.
I hope they showcase the Gates of Agony at one point, just to do it. I would like to see them in action somehow, some way. I don't know if it's on Dark, Elevation, Rampage, somehow. Just on Dynamite, like one odd week or something. But yeah, I think Brian Cage looked really good here, especially. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, again, early going, we got a buckle bomb into the ring post as Cage grabs his Takeshita's leg on the outside. Then Cage looking for another buckle bomb inside the ring, but Takeshita fights back. Some huge elbow strikes, some that would knock a normal man's lights out. At one point, Takeshita gets caught before charging in with the big knee lift. And then we get a big blue thunder bomb, a Takeshita special, for a 2 count. He goes for a flying knee in the corner before landing on the apron, brought back in the ring. The power of Brian Cage. What the hell? Deadlift vertical, James. Deadlift vertical German suplex. Then we got back elbow strikes. Then we got the big release German suplex. And Takeshita, thank God these men have their next condition. He landed pretty nasty, or the Taz would say nasty. Then we got some Hurricane Ranas, a powerbomb attempt, almost the way he beat Clark Castagnoli nearly for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Some more callbacks for you. And then at one point, a lariat by Takeshita, bridging German suplex fall for the 2 count. Again, the best German suplex since Penelope Ford. There, I said it. I would miss her in action, too. I hope that she's not injured. Lariat by Takeshita. Oh, excuse me, I already said that. And then we move on from there. We get another buckle bomb trying to break a man's back. Good grief. Powerbomb attempt by Cage, but Takeshita reverses into a Liger bomb. Shout out to all-time great use in front of Liger for a 2 count. Rolling lariat by Cage, though, is ducked, and then Takeshita catches him with a rolling elbow. A lot of forward momentum-based moves here for added impact. Attempted, some executed, some missed, and boy, was that an opportunity for the other one to capitalize. Backdrop driver by Brian Cage towards the end, and a rolling lariat. Forever exalted. Shout out to Broly. Rolling lariat for 2 count, and then he goes for the drill claw, looking to put out the fire, Konosuke Takeshita, but that gets countered into a sheer drop brainbuster, and a second brainbuster, and Konosuke did not win yet. Got a freaking 2 count. That dude is not human.
The first brainbuster was a reverse suplex style, by the way.
Exactly. But still, James dropped on his damn head, and all of Brian Cage's girth literally pushed down onto his neck and head, not once, but twice, and it still didn't keep the man down for a 3 count. He is a machine. As Cage continued to fight back and flattens him with a freaking F5. Hello, Brock Lesnar. Brian Cage finally sets Takeshita on the top rope for something huge here. I think it was like an avalanche drill claw or Weapon X. But Takeshita fights back, and then avalanche brainbuster. This wasn't a suplex. It was a straight up brainbuster from top rope. And then finally, bang, rising knee. 1, 2, 3. Takeshita gets the victory in what JR would definitely call a slobber knocker. And I definitely would agree. This was, again, after such a great opener, another freaking awesome physical war. I love this, top to bottom.
Yeah, this was really good stuff. Great showing for Takeshita. They have really big plans, and you can tell. And we'll see later on in the show how big of plans they have for him going forward. But yeah, just really well done by both guys here.
No kidding. As the Elite are here, and they are challenged by Top Flight and AR Fox for a 6-man tag team title match. In comes the Firm, Stokely Hathaway, All Ego Ethan Page, and Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy as they talk about where you guys been. Okay, you wanted to go, but you haven't been doing no work. So why is it that you guys dictate who should challenge you when we've been doing the work and we feel we should challenge you? They're like, oh, you want a 6-man tag team match? You want a chance to go? Okay, fine, whatever. Let's just do this thing. Cut the camera off, Brian Cutler, you stupid stooge. So basically, after Ethan Page asked for a challenge, the Elite accepted. A 6-man tag for the Ring of Honor Trios Championships was made for Rampage. Of course, they made from Dayton, Ohio. As we move on from there, this is where things slow down, but basically the audio heard was more so the story of this match, because what do you expect when you're contending with the likes of Pro Wrestling Noah's own catch-based wrestler, joint manipulator, Timothy Thatcher, as Bryan Danielson continued his road to #1 redemption with definitely a nearly dislocated shoulder, I think, at this point, before the match even started, James, against Timothy Thatcher. And honestly, good grief, Thatch Point. I remember Catch Point. Thatch Point is no damn joke.
No.
Fujiwara, Juju Gatami, call whatever the hell you want, Hammerlock, everything you could do, every way possible you think a piece of rubber, even though it's a human arm, could bend to. That's what Timothy Thatcher did here, James. Jeez.
Yeah, he just... It's really good technical wrestling, and he saw that freaking... what do you call the tape? Why am I blanking? It's late.
What's
the Kinesio tape. There we go.
Kinesio tape.
Yeah.
You're good.
So, yeah, when he saw that Kinesio tape, man, on his shoulder, target-sided, he just started working his arm the entire match. Really good psychology. I love how they're using Pro Wrestling Noah as well as New Japan is using Pro Wrestling Noah. Hey, it's your company. No, I'm kidding.
I need Nasuhiko Nakajima, please, in AEW, Tony Khan. Thank you.
Yeah, so Noah's getting some showcase matches.
I'm not getting no royalties, damn it.
Yeah.
Seriously, folks, my name's just I have nothing to do with the
company.
I'm talking about the company. I've heard the joke 200 different times.
I'm talking about the company, though.
I know you are.
So Noah getting representation in the ring, or on U.S. soil for, I think, the first time in a long time. That's going to be really, really good that Noah's a part of this. I'm really looking forward to what else could be the case as well. There's going to be a lot because they mentioned All Japan as well in the past when Eddie Kingston fought, what's his name? Jun
Akiyama, the guy, by the way, that literally trained Konosuke Takeshita.
That's what I'm saying. So, they mentioned them before. I'm hoping they actually start making the companies over there kind of work together as time goes on.
Forbidden Door, too, just saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then you have, in U.S. soil, you got Impact they work with, AEW, NWA, God willing. Now you just have to get frickin' AAA to ditch the cartel, and they could join in the fun, too. Anyway. Okay.
All right.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'm not. No lies detected. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, again, constant attempts for the double wrist lock. Every power move that Thatcher went for to counter Bryan Danielson's offense. Because pretty much Timothy Thatcher was like the Walking Dead. He was a freaking walker that would not stay down. He was less a threat that would not stay down. A wrestler that Bryan Danielson has tremendous respect for and also understands his game. At one point, we got the Kimura put in by Thatcher, who lifts Bryan Danielson off the ground while he is still in his grip. What the hell are you made of? quick counters for the LaBelle lock, some quick offense there for Bryan Danielson to try and just, alleviate some distance away from Thatcher and get back into this thing. Because, again, Bryan Danielson more often, stuff I just cut off here. Bryan Danielson more often here was freaking screaming in angst and agony, fighting from underneath. Quite literally. That's what you do against Timothy Thatcher. European uppercuts by Thatcher. Danielson responds, though, with round kicks, and then drops Thatcher finally to his knees, doing some kickboxing practice where those limbs, thankfully, were not exploited up to this point. Thatcher blocks a head kick, though, and then goes for the Fujiwara, but Danielson rolls through, lands the head kick finally, and drops Thatcher where he stood. Hammer and elbows now, classics of the Blackpool Combat Club and Regal training. But Thatcher rises back to his feet, backs up in the corner, and referee is out of play here.
1 second, 1 second, because I have to adjust everything now.
So with no ref, you knew that something had to go down, right? This is a rare thing in AEW, by the way. Ref bump on Dynamite. Here comes Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, with the Dynamite diamond ring in hand, looking to finally capitalize on the punishment he started last week. But once again, the saving grace. The man that idolizes Bryan Danielson said he will watch his back and look out for him. Kanosuke Takeshita comes in like a bat out of hell and runs MJF off. Then Thatcher snaps Danielson down and locks in the Fujiwara armbar, Jujikatami. We all thought this was it. Danielson was in a horrible state of affairs. Very bad position. Ref finally gets up to see this as Bryan Danielson thankfully was able to grab the ropes, force the break. Then we got some elbows to the injured elbow. Pinpoint accuracy by Thatcher, as always, as he plants Danielson with a belly-to-belly suplex. But then Danielson, don't know what this man has in his heart. American Dragon rose up and spit fire of his own as he literally hit him with a release German suplex and then went in for the charge. But Thatcher evaded. But Bryan, he once again turns his momentum around and catches Thatcher with the Psycho Knee. And there is a really hard-fought 1, 2, 3. A great strategy where, against somebody, technically Silence Thatcher, you can't beat someone like that via submission.
No. You're better off getting a pinfall when it comes to Timothy Thatcher, for sure. And it's a really good story that they told here, because you could tell that there was a lot of... You could tell that these guys have done this before, and they've wrestled before, and they just have really good chemistry. It was really good, really well paced. Love the technical wrestling that these two showed. Great show all around from both. And I love the angle they did within the match, because it's one of those things where, hey, think of it like this: if you don't do ref bumps often, when one finally happens, it actually fucking means something. And they didn't, and even then they didn't do it in, the typical ref bump way where the heel is able to get the interference. He actually got thwarted by Kanosuke. Really good stuff there, and it's set up perfectly for their backstage fight, which was taken all over the backstage. And frickin' MJF was pissed. Kanosuke was pissed. They were screaming at each other. Referees and
Security.
Personnel, security, all had to come in separated. Renee Paquette comes in, and, she goes...
Tony Khan has made it official that you, MJF, will be in an AEW World Title Limited match next week against Kanosuke Takeshita, and MJF almost blew a blood gasket. Who's really a control champ? Don't forget who actually pays you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really good stuff. Really good comeuppance for the heel there. All around, really good segment here. Probably, I'd say between the Brian Cage match, the Kanosuke bits have been the best part of the show.
Well, I mean, again, since the opener, bar none. Again, great storytelling. Again, two great stories here. You have a singles exhibition on Pride, and you have a World Championship affair
the beginning,
as far as being booked online.
Dynamite is very good, especially lately, of booking the beginning, the middle, and the end, which is where the most people are going to be tuning into the show.
Right.
And they've been doing that a lot better recently than they have been. Because they've been doing, the most important segments to kick off those hours. So, really good stuff by everybody involved.
And speaking of which, we continue on with the narrative of Bryan Danielson and MJF at the forefront, as, of course, there's only one more obstacle left, as he only has to wait for February 8th. and Bryan Danielson is officially number one contender for the AEW World Championship. And we were wondering, okay, so what's the last thing that the Devil can actually pull out? We found out who in another barrel as he went into Rush's locker room with a suitcase full of money and said the first one's on the house, but there's 5 more if you end. I don't care if he wins, but you end Bryan Danielson next week. And money talks as I'm sure they exchange pleasantries in Espanol. And basically Jose, the assistant, says he accepts. So there you go.
Which, the way this was done, right? This is like the cartel meeting the mob boss here. Because the way that they did this was MJF comes in, tries to be nice. Fucking Roosh is having none of it. Like, what the hell do you want, Pedro? You know? Like, very hostile right off the rip.
He always is that.
MJF is very sarcastic right off the rip. And he says, yeah, that's cute. That means dog in Spanish. It's really just very good. It's really surprising how great the chemistry is between these guys.
From one perro to another perro.
Which is funny because this isn't the first time that that MJF has given money to try to hurt people to LIJ. So just remember when the Andrade family office was a thing and he paid Andrade El Idolo. So, by the way, where the hell has he been? Now that I mentioned that.
Is he still out injured, recovering from a surgery? I think.
Is
he?
He's
Still out of. I thought he was. Yeah.
Oh shit! I don't even know he was injured. Fair enough.
Well, I mean, that was like, as far as I remember from last year, because I remember those screenshots, and so yeah. Speaking of, go ahead.
But yeah, before we get into all that, really good stuff too because he speaks in Spanish and he's very hostile in Spanish, and it's a very long sentence. And
even Lexi Nair couldn't translate that.
And then he goes to fucking Jose and says, "Dipshit, translate." And Jose says, basically, we have a deal. He's like, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. Don't you fuck me over here, dude. Like, it is really good. Like, I like that AEW doesn't just automatically think that because they're heels, they get along right away. I love that they do that. That's a really good story.
Enemies are going to look out for themselves, but money talks at the end of the day, and that's a language any enemy can speak.
That's my point, but maybe Perro doesn't need the money. Is my point. Maybe Roosh is just like, dude, I don't need your fucking money. We're LIJ. We're only second in merchandise to fucking Bullet Club. Chill.
It's a fair point. But
so
again,
I mean, there could be that. Like, again, there is good story there that they told in just that one little segment. Just really good storytelling. I enjoyed it.
Subtleness, to say the least. And speaking of people that were injured, I do know one person that's injured. I'm just going to keep saying it because, again, I miss her. Chris Statlander, get well soon. Legit Leah Hirsch, get well soon. As we go to women's action, as the AEW TBS champion is on the line, as Jade Cargill, that bitch, defend the TBS gold against her first ever rival, Red Velvet. Of course, Lita Gray, the only legitimate baddie left in Jade Cargill's, family, I guess you could say, or business, in her corner.
Yeah, that won't last long. Remember who she did not like in the beginning.
No, dude, I'm just saying, all right? Jade Cargill's going to look out for herself at the end of the day. Anyone with her is being elevated by her, and that's all they need to look at.
Hey, her daughter, too. She's a family. She has got a family.
Let's be honest here. At the end of the day, Jade Cargill is a mother. She's doing this for her daughter, and she's a proud mother, but she's even a more proud champion. As, simply put, Red Velvet just got jaded! After some good back and forth action there, Velvet, of course, tries a cross-body block off the apron. But again, Cargill, the strength of Jade Cargill, there's no denying Jade Cargill is a freaking powerhouse. Lifts her up into the military press, walks the ring steps up with her, James, and just tosses her into the ring on the top turnbuckle. Hip toss, of course, and then Cargill goes in for a charge, but we get a nice cold breaker by Red Velvet. Again, Red Velvet coming in like a spitfire, stirring it up as much as she could, constantly bringing offense forward to Jade Cargill. Even at one point, Lita Gray trying to play the interference factor. Kiera Hogan came in and wiped out Lita Gray on the steel ring steps, allowing Velvet to hit the tornado kick. and people probably, especially thought, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe the stream is going to be broken. Tries for omoplata, but Cargill picks her up like a powerbomb switch position in midair. Again, you're talking about the sky blue transition. How about this transition, James?
Really
As
fucking
she
brutal.
transitioned once again, the way Jade Cargill sets up that move, even when you think she is in peril herself, doesn't matter. Red Velvet, you just got jaded, and you became 50-0 for Jade Cargill, still the only ever TBS champion. Again, at this point, we're seeing how impressive Jade Cargill is. Is she becoming too impressive where right now this title is losing leverage because of the actual wage of competition? Something's got to give in the so-called TBS division, James, sooner or later.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually going to read something. Moonlight Mirage and I were going back and forth in our private Discord server, and she said, and I quote in the pro wrestling section of our chats, they need to fix this TBS championship thing because the TNT championship actually has competition. TBS is just Jade winning over and over again with minimal effort, minus the way she's able to transition into the Jaded. And if you are not paying attention to every fine detail in like what Jade has done from when she first started in this line of work to where she is now, you don't realize how good she's really become. But
Exactly.
she really has become one of the better workers in the women's division, and I don't think she gets to showcase that all that often. So I replied to that saying, to be fair, I agree, but the thing with Jade is she's taken very seriously. I think now is the time to get her some serious challenges from outside of AEW. Much like Darby Allin was doing that with the TNT title, much like Cody was doing with the TNT title. For example, Kayla Rossi, NWA Women's Champion Camille, Legend Trish Stratus, who's actually a free agent still, by the way. Get her. Impact Savannah Evans, DPW Sawyer Rex. Then drop it to Statlander after she goes through all those women. By the way, like, 4 out of those 5 women that I mentioned, all giant women. Like, NWA champion Camille especially. Like,
Yes.
a giant.
She is 1X for over 600 days for a reason. Highly underrated. Respect the Brick House.
And
you can stay tuned for more coverage on that, folks. Cheap plug in from me and Jess Beecham this Saturday on the Championship Brothers Media, where we do a live watch-along coverage of the NWA's first pay-per-view 2023. Enough said, where Camille will be defending the NWA Women's World Championship against Angelina Love. Good luck.
Oh boy, Angelina, goodbye. But with that said, you know, you can tell a very good story, especially come Forbidden Door. And like, you know, I'm not saying you can't have Kayla Rossi. I feel like they should bring back anyway, just for the one-off, because I think she got shafted there. I think she's more than ready.
Fair.
And you know, Savannah Evans could be a really good shout.
I want to see that. The Cannibal, let's freaking go.
That's my point. Like, you could have her go for the TBS title on Impact. That would be really good promotion for Impact, and it'd be really good, you know, a really good defense from Jade Cargill. You know how they did that little promotion thing with what was it called? I forget the promotion that Thunder Rosa wrestled in, where she defended the women's championship against Mayu Itami, I think, or was it a different woman?
Mia Yamashita. Oh, Mia Yamashita.
Yeah, Mia Yamashita.
Joshi Pro Wrestling.
So do something like that with Savannah and Jade. I think you could also do Camille. I think the money match out of all the people I mentioned definitely has to be Camille. I think Camille at Forbidden. I think Camille at Forbidden Door. I think you should do Trish Stratus on Revolution, just for the name recognition, if you can get her, or something of that caliber, right?
Right. I get what you're saying.
DPW have her defend the belt against Sawyer Rex in DPW, because that would be good promotion for them, and you know that's a good little, you know, payback to Pulse for actually giving them some eyes on AEW, which don't tell me he didn't, because he did with that AEW mobile game, because without him, that shit would have never been downloaded. Let's be fucking honest.
We had a fair in it too, but I get what you're saying. It takes a team.
So then after all that, after the Camille match, then build up to other giants that you could possibly bring in. Go along that vein, give her some serious, legit competition. Some, beefy women. Similar to the Nyla Rose, Like, have her beat those type of wrestlers until Statlander dethrones her at All Out. And, by the way, if you want to give a big freaking statement victory to Jade at Forbidden Door, her versus Camille, I'd say give the belt to Jade. Because who the hell else is gonna beat Camille?
I got nobody.
I don't think anybody else can be.
Kylan King was my closest bet, and they only have one actual match for the title, 1-on-1. And both of these women were trained under the likes of the Dudley Boys, and Kylan King came up short.
So, you got that, and you could still do your other squash matches or David versus Goliath type matches still, like her versus Layla Hirsch is another match I'd love to see. Like, you have options that you could utilize not only within your company, but outside of it. And I think now is the time to give her some serious competition and give her some serious momentum going into her eventual match with Chris Statlander to eventually drop the belt and or possibly belts if she gets the belt from Camille to Chris Statlander. And I think that's the biggest thing that I want to see. I think...
Also, I want to see Chris Statlander become champion. That's what I want to see.
And again, for those who are going to be like, well, how do you get the NWA title off of Chris Statlander? Well, that's pretty simple. You have Jade Cargill interfere on behalf of Camille, and then you've got a 2-woman power trip, and then you have a tag team that you could actually utilize on NWA. The brick houses, hello? Have Taylor Rossi join with that. I mean, you got a freaking beefy freaking team right there with the women there.
It's a different take. That's a different take, but also it's a very creative idea. But again, it comes down to, will Billy Corgan agree? Because Billy Corgan has his own vision when it comes to the women and the women wrestling in the NWA, which what Nick Aldis was definitely throwing a fuss about. And again, Mickie James, we don't see her necessarily working anymore. So honestly, again, is Corgan very open to those type of claims, like you said? But bottom line, you're right. Jade Cargill needs competition that can level her for power and strength. And the most legitimate one left, well, 2 of them technically. One is a shorter powerhouse, injured. The other one is more the woman, and we think she's the one that can dethrone her. Savannah Evans is a hot take, though. The Cannibal, that is definitely one now to figure out, especially since she's now singles in Impact Wrestling, since Tasha went bye-bye.
Really?
And also, the other one I can think of, because she is a powerhouse, don't let the hype fool you, I would say Jordan Grace. The Juggernaut.
Yeah, Jordan Grace.
Masha Slamovich would be another hot take, but I know Masha's got to challenge Mickie James as well. So that's just a couple of thoughts that I was figuring. Because directly, I was thinking of Impact Wrestling. I was thinking you'd do something with the women TBS Championship, particularly with Impact, like you did with the World Championship with Impact, but not necessarily, the same way.
Yeah.
Because remember, the way Kenny Omega got both the Impact and the AEW World Championship, it led to the foundation of Rampage and Christian Cage.
Yep. Exactly, and I think there's ways you can do it. There's lots of different things that you can do with that TBS Championship division, but you have to go outside of the walls of AEW in order to do it. Because I agree with Moonlight. I think
She's right. I agree with her.
Doing the squash matches or which kind of are somewhat competitive, but in the end, you know who's going to win, and it just takes one jaded.
9.5 out of 10. Yeah, you
do. Bro, that shit's got to change somehow. Like, she's got to have some serious competition, right? Like, money fights and money wrestlers and money combat sports in general, it didn't just happen because they kept getting knockouts all the time in the UFC. They looked impressive, right? But nobody talks about just the quick-ass knockouts unless you're watching some fucking montage on YouTube. What they talk about is the serious competitor that gives them a run for their money. That's why Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor was as big as it fucking was. That's why Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor was as big as it freaking was. That's why Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman was as big as it effing was. You know? That's why Tito Ortiz and what's his face? I don't know why I'm forgetting the freaking... There's no way I should be forgetting him. Chuck Liddell. That's why Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell was huge. And same thing goes for Tito and Shamrock. So, like, the whole idea of sports-centric, right?
Yes.
Go by that logic. Go the boxing element with it, which is what AEW has tried to do with this Forbidden Door concept. And start getting the best of the best from all over the world to try and dethrone that bitch for the title. And then when nobody else can, and Statler is the one to do it, you automatically made a bigger star out of her. And then you could start a deal where she gets screwed out of the NWA title first, gets dropped back to Camille because Kayla Rossi, preferably, and Jade Cargill interfered on Camille's behalf. Then you got a little bit of a tag team. You could continue to feud with Jade and Chris. And then you got some decent shit going on with the NWA and AEW, and hopefully
that comes down again to, like I said, I do like the idea. You are talking about two of the most foundational powerhouses of the industry, but again, NWA I feel is definitely a more exclusive thing. And as far as what you said, you talk about a lot of prize fight on the men's side of things. I would probably look at the Invicta FC side of things just to give a perspective on the different divisions of the women competitors, and that all women MMA promotion that, of course, has been sponsored by Impact Wrestling across Access TV. Whether it's featherweight, welterweight, middleweight, you name it. But I do understand where you're coming from. The bottom line is this. If you're going to keep building Jade Cargill up for who can be the successor for the TBS Championship, you got to balance her feats of strength versus her endurance. The last time we saw a level of endurance for her was when she battled Nyla Rose, who some say came closest to beating her. Before that, it was Private Marina Shafir who planted her on the mat and challenged her the most technically. Other than that, every other match has been kind of a bit of both, but more often, it's Jade Cargill's power that comes out more dominantly in the end. I was literally watching Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr., which is a battle in itself of Tekka's strong style. Of course, I'm talking about technical background of Zack Sabre Jr., who caused the NWW World Television Championship, the belt you think it looks like an old TV, the new Strong Style Championship with 15-minute time limits. Dude, go watch that match because it's free on NWW.com. They went 14 minutes and 38 seconds. It was anybody's game. And neither man looked like they were only one-dimensional. Tomohiro Ishii did stuff that I'd never even seen out of him before and nearly got the belt.
Bro, we gotta, and I love that you mentioned that because another dream booking for Forbidden Door, Undisputed King of Television, you gotta book it now. Because if he's fighting guys like Tomohiro Ishii, there has to be a match planned between him and Samoa Joe. You would think that would be the money.
Zack Sabre Jr. versus Samoa Joe.
Exactly, dude. Like submission expert versus submission expert, a David and Goliath type of submission match. For all the gold, all the television gold on the line.
The vegan Hydra.
Yeah.
Outrageous Tekkas.
Just give Joe all the belts, man. Make him. Truly make him the Undisputed King of Television, man. Make him get the digital media title too. Why the fuck not? Just give it to them all.
Hey, no. I believe in Joe Hendry. I said his name. No. I like Joe Hendry.
I like Joe Hendry, but man, Samoa Joe Hendry, it is great.
Oh, that's fun. All right, I knew it was going to go longer than expected. That's why I love this shit. Also, let's go ahead and get back here. We talk about women. We talk about the women's division. We talk about the foundations. It seems now we're seeing definitely a split when we go backstage now from, again, the incredible strip Jade Cargill to the somewhat, could you say coincidental, as we have done Burger DMD backstage with the medical staff, getting medical day, Cursor Ray Paquette, Ruby Soho comes in and basically says she's here to check on Britt, but then Britt suddenly said, aren't those your girls? Britt says no. She doesn't get down like that. Just wanted to check on you.
This is going to be
Britt suddenly says, I'm fine, and walks off.
This is going to be very interesting because of what it looks like to me. And maybe this is just me.
The suspension of disbelief right now, but
the
go ahead.
suspension of disbelief, right, with the Ruby Soho thing. I think she's going to be joining up with the other two rocker chicks, okay? I think that's where they're going to go here. And
a different Riot squad in its own right.
They're going into like a 3-person heel turn and 2-person face turn. Slowly, they're building this, which is crazy to think about. If it's me booking for Revolution, you're not gonna have a women's championship off the show for whatever reason. I think money.
Jamie Hayter's defending that title. I guarantee you that.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. But against who? Against Ruby? Maybe. If anybody should be teaming with Dr. Britt Baker to try and take out Saraya and Tony, believe it or not, I think we're going to be seeing the return of Thunder Rosa. I think it's going to be her. I think it's going to be Thunder and Britt, unlikeliest of allies, trying to go. Because if despite the bullshit that they have backstage, you're telling me that they wouldn't have a common ground here when it comes to this?
I would think so, considering Thunder Rosa, of course, runs the Mission Pro Wrestling promotion, and she truly does respect women's wrestling. But due to her MMA background, yeah, she is a bit more of a stiff striker. But I do get what you're saying, and Thunder Rosa, she probably is bound to come back. And when you look at the landscape of AEW, we're looking right now at the first ever female signing for AEW. Diabrika DMD, AEW original, For Life True, versus a former WWE superstar. Two coming together after bitter hostilities where you may have some use yet for this division, for this company. You may not fully be my enemy. Or is it all ruse, and does Ruby Soho coincide with Saraya and Toni Storm? Is Saraya the puppet master this whole time? Was she just the one to change things, but she had to come in here to her first? Again, hostile takeover. It is very interesting right now to really look at this. And, of course, Jamie Hayter, nowhere to be found in this scene. Of course, Jamie Hayter has her own face to worry about, being the AEW Women's World Champion. And Jamie Hayter and Britt are both on video saying, she don't need me, I don't need her. We have a common bond, and that's why this thing works.
And I think they're all going face, which is crazy. Like, it's crazy because they're finally realizing, dude, we can't keep them heel forever. I think, honestly, and this is how I feel. Had Adam Cole not returned and cut that fiery babyface promo when he did,
I knew Adam Cole to come. Yep.
I don't think Britt turns face. I don't think it happens. That's why it's happening. And they're doing a very well orchestrated and well crafted story with this. And again, you got your 3 AEW originals, for lack of a better term, even in Thunder Rosa's case, who came from NWA, but like 3 AEW originals and Thunder and Britt and Jamie going up against Saraya, Tony, and Ruby. That dynamic is going to work because you could have World Championships matches with either Saraya versus, Jamie Hayter, or you could have a Tony and Jamie Hayter again, a rematch, or you could do Ruby and Jamie Hayter, which is a new matchup. That is a very interesting way to go about this, and it kind of makes everything feel nice and fresh, especially when they turned on Hikaru Shida, because, again, maybe it's not right away that they do Thunder Rosa coming in to help out the
I'd say Shida right now is a party that's looking on from the outside, and also another name you didn't think about also, a neighbor we should work with to be the Jumper Society, Willow Nightingale, who, of course, Willow got rolled up and cheated via the shenanigans of Saraya for Toni Storm to beat her. That started this whole thing in the first place, that showed the true colors. Yes. I would say Willow Nightingale will be the first one to truly show her faithfulness to AEW, and that might further encourage Ruby Soho in her decision-making.
That's fair. I didn't even think about that. That's
what I wanted to interject with, because you're talking about a lot of great women here for AEW, but you're also talking about women right now that really haven't been showcased lately. Let's not forget that this really was instigated when Willow Nightingale lost to Toni Storm due to the shenanigans of Saraya, who made her intentions be known after telling Hikaru Shida to stay in the back, and Hikaru Shida was the one that saw all this transpire. So right now we have three unknowns: Ruby Soho, Willow Nightingale, and Hikaru Shida, while you have one true known in Tiebreaker DMD. I gotta imagine Jamie Hayter, but I don't want Jamie Hayter pigeonholed at this if it means she does defend the title. So technically, you have
wait
three
a
on
minute.
one, maybe.
We're forgetting about one thing, though, because Blood and Guts is around the corner after Revolution.
Correct.
Are they building to a Blood and Guts for the women?
It's very possible.
Like, who would the other two women be on the heel side, though? Because you gotta imagine...
Thing.
You gotta imagine... actually, shit.
It won't be on a day and time Miller. I think they're still recovering from the ridiculous street fight with Will
Actually,
Soho.
but it
Good
could.
Lord.
But it could, though, because that would be the most... That would actually make the most sense, though. Because sports entertainers, right? Even though Anna Jay is an AEW original, they're sports entertainers, right?
Sports entertainers beat pro wrestlers.
Right, that whole idea.
Is this more a battle of sports entertainers versus pro wrestlers on the women's side of things, or is it literally superstars versus AEW original?
Yes, that's
a whole
my
different
point.
dynamic.
That's my point. So have the baby faces be the AEW originals: Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida,
Dr. Baker, DMD.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter, and Willow Nightingale, fighting Tay Mello, Anna Jay, Ruby Soho, Toni Storm, Saraya. Now,
Boom.
It's slightly risky because of Saraya's injuries in the past.
Yes.
But if she's cleared to go and she's able to take bumps so long as she doesn't land too awkwardly on her fucking neck. Because Danielson's been doing it for years, right?
Yeah, but that's Danielson we're talking about.
No, I know, but I'm just using that as an example. Then
fair point.
There's your match right there. It's right there. You could open up Blood and Guts with that match, and then you could close with the men's Blood and Guts, whatever you decide to build up there.
Interesting take. Blood and Guts strict 9 of AEW, just 2 Blood and Guts matches back and back, but I think that would be a bit of overkill. The only thing I would say about this, though, considering who Jamie Hayter is facing, you're talking about an extreme circumstance. No one thrives in extreme more than Allie.
True, yeah. True.
And I really wonder if Jamie Hayter, like you said, Jamie Hayter is now the face of the AEW Women's Division as the champion. We all appreciate Hayter. Hayter's going to hate. She truly has become a fan's favorite. She is the fans' women's champion.
Yeah.
What if we don't see some sort of mutual respect between her and the Bunny after their match that further escalates maybe into what you're talking about?
It's really
what if afterwards you find Saraya and Toni Storm picking their spots and the Bunny somehow comes into play on her own behest because she's crazy and you don't know which way she's going? What if she's two-faced in this too and becomes a part of this whole picture?
That's true as well, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Hire a mercenary. She likes money.
The fact that we are talking about this shows...
No, yeah, before the main event, but
right,
continue.
Shows how much progress there has been with the women. That this could be a legit possibility.
And we're invested in it.
Right? Like, that's really good that AEW is finally taking the proper steps to make the women's division matter. Which is... And it does sound like they're listening when it comes to stuff like that. So, yeah. All in all, I hope that that's the direction they go in. It's really interesting the way they're kind of building this. We don't know
considering we have no idea what's ahead of Revolution yet for either women's champion.
And that's the thing. It's very unpredictable. It sounds predictable, but everything I could be saying could get flipped on its head. That's the beauty of it, though.
Butterfly effect.
It's the beauty of it, though, and that's really, really good for their women's division right now. And I think, a lot of people say WWE, they're very unpredictable right now in their main event scene. And no doubt their build-up to Mania is the most unpredictable. But...
I've already been building the graph. I can't wait.
I think everything with AEW, I think people are kind of sleeping on just because it's not as exciting. Doesn't mean it's bad either. Like, this
Exactly.
is they're doing some good stuff right now with MJF and Danielson.
He's
The
simmering.
women, they're simmering this as time goes on, and I like it. And, I said, months ago when I said I was going to be done because I was sick of the politics getting in the way of this progress for both companies, that until that stopped happening, I wasn't going to watch. It's finally starting to happen. It's slowly starting to happen. And I like where everything's going. We're going to see how everything kind of plays out as time goes on, but I'm looking forward to what they're going to be doing.
There's a lot of suspension of disbelief, and that's what the industry's been needing, because that's what draws excitement and engagement for us as fans of professional wrestling. There's a reason why I look towards AEW Dynamite every week, because there's always something that makes me wonder, is this actually truly what's going to happen? Is this what I'm supposed to expect? Who else is going to freaking show up? And it's funny. We talk about all these women, all the women's division, all this aspect of the women's division. Well, there's another name we didn't even think about here. And honestly, you could be the most dangerous thing yet to truly be showcased in this sort of capacity of storytelling, considering what they are about in their own mission statement. Julia Hart.
Mm-hmm. True.
Expose the corruption. Expose the venom. Breathe out what you truly are. The house shows all. I mean, look what they did at Eddie Kingston. I'm just saying.
Yeah, true.
Again, the bottom line is this. There are many different dynamics right now in what once felt like a very unorganized idea, piece level women's division that draws for some sort of excitement and really a plethora of predictions, not just for the championship.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. You need depth, because it shows you what you can do with your talent, but it also shows what the talent can do. It's not one-dimensional.
Truth.
I digress. So stay tuned for more of our discussion on the AEW Women's Division. And as far as the stance goes, of which side are you leading on? Are you AEW original? Are you superstar? Are you sports entertainer? Are you professional wrestler? And are you a hater? But I digress. Before we talk about the main event, allow me to run down this week's AEW Dynamite. As, of course, it will be Championship Fight Night, as this Dynamite will be before the Super Bowl this Sunday. And, of course, Tony Khan, in all his wild sports wisdom, considering his family owns Jacksonville Jaguars, to say he stacked it again would be an understatement. We have Roos taking on Bryan Danielson, where Bryan Danielson wins. He officially is the number one contender for the AEW World Championship and will face Maxwell Jacob Freeman MJF for the Triple B at AEW Revolution in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Ricky Starks will go through what is now known as the Garcia Guevara Gauntlet, where if he goes through Cool Angelo Parker, the Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and either Sammy Guevara or Daniel Garcia, whether or not it's each of them back-to-back or one respectively, he will get a one-on-one match once again with Chris Jericho. We're going to finally close the bubble on the Jericho Appreciation Society thing that has him in a loophole. MJF faces Konosuke Takeshita, of course, in a world title eliminator, where if Konosuke wins, he gets a chance for the AEW World Championship. We also have the Acclaim defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against the Gun Club. And, of course, Daddy Ass will be in the Acclaim's corner, but is he truly with them? And the Elite will defend the AEW Trios Championship, spoiler alert, against Top Flight and AR Fox. And also, Jamie Hayter will go up against the Bunny, in an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator, where if the Bunny wins, she will get a chance at the AEW Women's World Championship. But before all that, it was time for our main event, and to say this was nothing but would be an understatement. James, you take it away with this one, because it was for the TNT Championship. Darby Allin's fifth defense after a month of non-stop incredible defenses, and coming back for Pro Wrestling Noah, probably jet lag, in a six-man tag team match where it was Great Muda's last match ever, period. Bye-bye. With, of course, Sting and also Pro Wrestling Noah. Darby Allin defended the gold in what was truly the final chapter with Samoa Joe. Jesus Christ, this should have been on a pay-per-view. James, take it away.
Yeah, man. Darby comes in. He's ready to go as Samoa Joe's in the ring just waiting for him. And all of a sudden, you see Darby with a thumbtack jacket.
A thumbtack jacket. Just stop right there. A thumbtack jacket. Who in their right mind? Okay, maybe that's not the word. Who in their mind conceives that, let alone wears that willingly?
Yeah. So he comes out with it, and he just goes right at Joe and slams him with his entire back of the jacket right on the
God.
Joe. I'm shocked he didn't get punctured all over and started bleeding like all over the place.
I'm sure he tried to. Probably during picture-in-picture. They probably fixed that real quick. And also, he did have the towel for defense, to be fair. Wise move. Continue.
Yeah.
This is just the opening 2 seconds.
This is just the opening 2 seconds. That's how the match starts.
Right.
And he's choking him. He's doing like stuff with this jacket. And then Joe finally gets some momentum on him. I think what was it that finally floored him? A big boot? I forget exactly.
Well, at one point, he literally whiplashed the man over the guardrail face first into the crowd, and they were literally fighting amongst the audience, because we all know AEW loves to be interactive with their fan base. Again, damn it, I am so mad that I wasn't there freaking live. And, yeah, it was basically a boot penalty kick by Joe and a diving elbow drop that basically, took Darby out of commission and turned him into the human ragdoll, per usual stance.
Yeah,
Continue.
and so right afterwards, you talk about they go into the crowd. So right before picture-in-picture, he sets the steps up, and Darby takes a fucking nasty bump on them at first again.
And no surprise.
Then he takes another bump. Samoa Joe goes for a full-on hard Irish whip. Darby then goes and tumbleweeds over the steps, freaking knees first into these things. Yep. And then he slams into the retainer wall back first, then face plants on the fucking concrete.
Yep.
And then Joe just comes in. He's just brawling up the stairs with them as they go to picture-in-picture. I was scared Joe was about to... I was scared Joe, Botch, was gonna do the fucking missile dropkick that he did on Sting all that time ago.
Right.
It's very reminiscent of that for a second.
This was Samoa Joe in full-on kill mode, folks. This is the Joe everyone fears that you all love so much.
Joe just was brutalizing Darby, just absolutely mauling him for a long while. Every time Darby had some fire in him, every time he was trying to use some form of offense, I think at one point he started getting weapons and trying to use that. Joe just had a counter for everything, kept ragdolling him out of the ring. Joe then gets like a bunch of freaking folding chairs at once. And then, oh boy, he then puts them like this.
Yep.
So the top of the chairs are like this.
Yep.
And Samoa Joe then just does a suplex right onto these fucking things, and it looked like it sucked.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, there is no give on the tops of those chairs.
And
on a human spine.
Darby just took this shit, man. And
God,
there was at one point too where I think he was doing some crazy ass shit, trying to fire back. He eventually does, and then he gets the fucking thumbtack jacket again. He can't even put it on fully right. And he hits the coffin drop with it anyway, which looked like it sucked regardless.
Kick out
by Joe. So then he's just frustrated. He goes to the under the ring, gets a toolbox, and starts dismantling the ring.
Oh Lord!
And they're just he's just cutting all these pieces while Joe's on the other side, where a table was laid out on the other side earlier. I think Darby even tried to set it up for an earlier dive, or maybe it was Joe.
He was looking for a coffin drop, and
didn't work. So he got the ring to be exposed, the wood exposed. He removed the foam of the canvas, and he runs at Joe, tries to do his tope flip dive through the ropes.
He did, but he had an obstacle in front of Joe that collapsed on Joe.
Yeah, Joe just dodged out of the way, slammed him
with a table as a shield.
Slammed him. I think at one point, too, there was another table spot where I think Joe tried to do his own suicide dive, and Joe got slammed in the head with the frickin' table, which broke immediately on impact, so that was a callback to that spot. Right afterwards, they're fighting in the corner, trying to jockey for position. Darby finally gets Joe down. He slams onto the frickin' hardwood boards after he punches him a few times, tries to go for the coffin drop. Joe sees it coming, nuts him, crotches him, goes to the top rope, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is he thinking of doing? And then he gets him up for the Muscle Buster. He gets him up for the Muscle Buster. And I swear I had a heart attack when I saw this, because I did not know if this was going to end well, even for Darby's sake. Because you remember what happened to Tyson Kidd. Joe hits from the very top rope a Muscle Buster.
Avalanche Muscle Buster. Say it right, dude.
Avalanche Muscle Buster onto the exposed wood. 1, 2, 3. Joe is once again in AEW and Ring of Honor land the undisputed king of television. What a brutal ass match. Wow. This should have been on pay-per-view the way they fucking beat themselves up here.
I mean, we talk about Darby Allin, and we think that he doesn't care about his own well-being. He's just going to continue fighting until the wheels come off. He's going to continue fighting like it's his life because it is his life. He never felt so complete till he brought one back this town, his hometown. But talk about a way to go out in a blaze of glory at your own risk of your freaking well-being. Jesus Christ!
Right.
You basically covered it pretty much to the point, man. Again, Samoa Joe is once again the TNT champion, so he's once again the king of television. And yes, I know people are going to say they hot potato title again, but Darby Allin is going off on a non-wrestling project with Tony Hawk. They had to call an audible.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense then.
Freaking audible! Why couldn't you just whack him off like Samoa Joe did with Shinsuke Nakamura in the Black Gold NXT? Suspension of disbelief. He belts out to Tony Khan. Make Darby Allin forfeit the championship to me if he doesn't show up in the next month or so. I can't wait. And then you set this thing up to be the match at friggin' Revolution. This should have been on Revolution. This was a pay-per-view level championship affair. This was an end game, and we got it for free on TV with the expense of Darby Allin's body.
Well, we know why they're not doing it, though, because the one-on-one money match has arrived, and it's happening.
About damn time. Round 2, because
afterwards,
is war.
Wardlow comes out. Wardlow has a new do. Actually, like this do, by the way. A lot of people
the man bun's gone.
Yeah, you got a freaking crew cut, dude. Comes in, brutalizes Joe, tries to go for the powerbomb symphony on the exposed wood. Joe immediately knows what's coming, gets the hell out of Dodge. He's like, I'm not taking that tonight, brother. And yeah, man, it looks like we're gonna go Wardlow versus Joe at Revolution. Yes, please. Cool.
I'm game. Round 2. Let's go.
And keep in mind, they didn't even have a round 1 yet. The triple threat match was with Hobbs involved. So this would be their first one-on-one encounter, I'm pretty sure.
When did he cut his hair? Was it a triple threat or was it the one-on-one?
No.
No. It was a one-on-one. New Year's Smash. Samoa Joe defended the gold against Wardlow and beat him and took his hair. And that's when the Darby Allin program began.
That's right. You're right.
Because Darby Allin, of course, won the TNT Championship the very first Dynamite in Seattle on January 4th. It was the same day as Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that's when he won it for the second time in his hometown as black and gray confetti dropped down. And then here we are, Samoa Joe went into full-on kill mode and said, this would be the greatest mistake of your life. He wasn't lying. Damn. You're not seeing Darby Allin for a while.
Yeah, and honestly, the really good way to write him off, too, because, like, if anything's going to keep him down for a while, the Muscle Buster from the fucking top on the hardwood floor, man.
As if the Avalanche Muscle Buster wasn't enough. Exposed wood, folks.
Really good
stuff. You
stuff.
don't easily recover from that.
Yeah, really good stuff all around. Really...
Yeah, this was a tremendous episode of AEW Dynamite. Like you said, they basically continued the stories. They gave a lot of suspension of disbelief for some other developments. If I had one just little meh, it was definitely the fact that the Acclaim faced jobbers to push an angle on television.
That's like the only negative.
This episode pretty much was perfect.
Yeah, really good stuff all around. AEW definitely scored on this one.
All right. And that was, of course, AEW Dynamite last week. As we finish out the week, their time in Dayton, Ohio is not done. As, of course, immediately following that, I don't know how quick they do that stuff, but AEW, I've been there live, and I've seen it done at lights out at times. So, I mean, hey, kudos to their crew. They immediately set up a transition into Rampage. Of course, also from the Nutter Center, good old JR. We kick things off in AEW Trios Championship match as the Elite, beat the Elite, by God, Kenny Omega, and of course the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. They took on Isaiah Cassidy, particularly Isaiah Cassidy, and Matt Hardy and Ethan Page. And to make a simple point here, I felt this was more so just a showcase for Isaiah Cassidy and what he's been capable to do as a singles athlete since Mark Quant's out injured. While we are pushing the narrative of Matt Hardy and Ethan Page still, not having the most worthy of business agreements, and I feel Matt is getting close to being broken. There was a couple of cool tag team combination spots here that I thought they could have literally had the titles. So suspension of disbelief, and the Elite did not let off on the gas. There was a triple super kick attempt at one point by the Elite, but Page and Hardy basically pulled Matt and Omega out, allowing Cassidy to hit a running destroyer. Damn! And then a double iconoclasm to a twist of fate, and this was the closest the firm came to the 3 count, but still not enough, as we had a bang running V-trigger Isaiah Cassidy back by Omega, and then One Wing Angel. This short little affair, for what it was worth, good exchange all around. It was over, but it was predictable. The Elite retained. And of course, after this was made official, that the Elite, like I said, will now defend the gold against Top Flight and AR Fox. And Top Flight, so far, has not lost the Young Bucks in regular tag team action. Can they get it done where the gold's on the line with a third assistance? Special disbelief, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a fun opener, James.
A really good opener. I enjoyed it. Everything that AEW seems to be doing has been really good. Even the trio stuff, even if it's
after they finished that best of 7 series, and I didn't think when they announced it was going to be what it was.
No.
Boy, was I wrong. That was something.
Yeah, and they did a hell of a job, the way they're building this trios division up. Again, every match feels like it's straight from PWG, and I like that. It feels different. I like different.
The stomping grounds of many of these men.
That's my thing. I love that they're going PWG 6-man with this style. I think it adds a dimension to Dynamite. I think it actually adds some good stuff to it. The tag team combination stuff is really good. Hopefully we get a meaningful story as time goes on. I have to imagine at Forbidden Door this year, you gotta have a match coming up with Aussie Open versus these guys. Or at the very least, just the United Empire as a whole taking on the Elite. I could actually see Will Ospreay and Aussie Open having a rematch with the Elite here. That's going to be crazy good. We know how good that match was last time, but now there's a lot more at stake with what happened. And just imagining what could be on the line. And it'll be a really good build-up for New Japan as well, because you got to imagine they're going to be running Omega and Ospreay back in New Japan right after Forbidden Door.
They have to at some point. It could be Will Ospreay's swan song, honestly, because let's not forget, Kenny Omega, as you alluded to, is the current IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion, but the Imperial Unit has already set its sights on that prize, and the Cow Palace is coming up in March, where that title first became a thing.
Right. So there's some big things happening. There's a lot of things that could happen between now and then, and with Punk being back also on the video packages as of late, you could get that CMFTR match as well that a lot of people are clamoring for. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they could be doing to elevate this trios division. I'm really looking forward to seeing the direction. It does feel very unpredictable. Maybe not as unpredictable as WWE, which I think is a lot of people saying, and especially right now. Right. But there is a lot of things that are unpredictable with AEW right now, and that's really good for them. I think the industry's thriving right now when you got these two companies doing really good, and then you have the small stuff in between with, the Ethan Page, Matt Hardy storyline being followed with this trios division. The way they're doing this is really, really well done.
And it's also pushing Isaiah Cassidy forward, too, because, again, Isaiah Cassidy's been getting a lot of experience from all this. Again, he had a lot of the work done in this, from the tornado over the top to enduring a lot of punishment, including a freaking assisted Kataro Crusher by freaking Kenny Omega off the double Enzuigiri to
yes.
Again, Isaiah Cassidy right now has been, for me, the most important thing to watch out of the firm, because you're seeing how much Isaiah Cassidy is capable of. And we've seen Isaiah Cassidy handle the likes of Keith Lee in singles action. Just saying.
Yeah, true. So good stuff all around. Really enjoyed this matchup. It was fun.
But again, when you set things up and you're watching the Elite, if there's one thing you can say about the Elite, whether you're indifferent to them or not, they never give you anything less than what they're capable of, and they expect you to show them what you're capable of. Push them. Show us what you really are. Show us how bad you want to be up there with us, let alone compete against us. Because they are the Elite for a reason.
Yep.
Folks, it is what it is. It truly is what it is. I'm just saying. This match right here, okay. This was a little weird. It's one of those things where, again, I'm like, Rampage. Sometimes you have this stuff, and I'm like, why? Other times I'm like, I'm glad you had this. It really showcased somebody. Swerve Strickland, Brian Pillman Jr., I almost feel like should have been on Dynamite. But I understand why they did it on Rampage, because, again, they're pushing that narrative right now that Swerve is trying to get rid of the past and other generational stuff, which is why he tackled Brian Pillman Jr. until the Natural came in afterwards, too. This was a nice back and forth. Mogul Affiliates, they were there. They looked intimidating. They tried to get involved here. There was a normalized suplex by Pillman for a nice 2 count. Pillman, of course, back on his home turf, which I also understand. Out of the Cincinnati area, competing in Dayton, was probably cool for him. I wonder if his family was there. Huge right hand, though, by Swerve at one point to come back from break after Pillman was kind of outshining Swerve to a degree, or outsmarting him. A swerve and a swerve, you know? And there was a leg hook backbreaker by Swerve, who runs into a super kick then by Pillman, but then we get another super kick, and he kicks Pillman in the injured inner thigh because, again, Pillman's not 100%. Swerve kick. I don't know if he has a name for it. House call. I thought it was house call at one point. You know, he sets him up and just comes in.
Yeah, house call.
Whacks him in the back of the head.
Yep.
Gets a 2 count, then Swerve sets up Pillman on the top rope, but Pillman then guillotines Swerve on the top rope. Mogul Affiliates once again try to come into play, which allows Swerve to hit the Death Valley driver on the apron. Ouch! And then finally brings it back into the ring to set up for what is ultimately called the Swerve Stomp. And that's all she wrote. She got a 3 count. Afterwards, though, using the bling of one of his enforcers, I believe it was Parker, tried to wrap it up around his fist. The Natural, Dustin Rhodes, rolled off Mogul Affiliates for now. Something tells me we're getting Dustin for Swerve, which again could be one of those like passing up the torch as mask when it comes to Dustin. He is a coach, mentor, his passion. Guys, the industry always has, always will. Thank you, Dustin Rhodes, by the way. That's all I got to say about this. It was okay for what it was worth.
I do want to also point out that there is a very good chance that they're building either on Dynamite or Rampage, maybe even at the pay-per-view, a trios match with Swerve and Mogul Affiliates versus Dustin, Anderson, and Pillman. That also could be a thing that they do. I could absolutely see them going down that route. And honestly, not mad at that. Not mad at that at all.
Actually would make us see what Parker's capable of, since we haven't seen him involved lately in every action. And we have no idea what the other guy's capable of.
I know what Parker is capable of because I've seen his matches when he was with the Trustbusters. He's really, really good as
right.
As
but I'm talking about the other dude. The other dude, I'm more interested in seeing. You know exactly.
So we'll see what happens.
All right. As we move on from there, why don't you go ahead, as we talk about the women's division so much, where you see now matching gear, and now they have their own little way that they look at everybody else, as they took on one of my favorite duos in women's wrestling, former CCW Tag Team Champions, Ohio represent, Charlotte and Robin, the Renegade Twins, as the Renegades took on Toni Storm and Saraya, and this was Toni Storm and Saraya's first ever tag team match together in AEW. As far as anywhere else, I would have to go back to my encyclopedia. This match I liked, though, because when you think about the women matches on Rampage sometimes that are not in the main event spot, kind of squished. Here, though, the Renegades, they held up for what they were worth quite a bit, particularly against Toni Storm, who I feel is instigating Robin here quite a bit until Charlotte got the hot tag. In the end, though, we know what happened, but overall, we see now Toni Storm and Saraya. We see their tag team cohesion. We see what they're about when they say that they are the ones that AEW should be focusing on, should be talking about. We are better. We are the superstars. You're the losers. But the Renegades, for what it was worth, good effort on both. I enjoyed this match. Yeah,
it was really good. Again, it's one of those things where, you know, you have a team in AEW, but you don't have a tag team division. Send them to NWA or Impact. You know, that can't hurt.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Can't hurt.
I want to see them. I'm be honest with you. I want to see the Renegades versus Pretty Empowered on NWA, where the NWA Women's Tag Team Champions right now currently not being defended. Enough said, but that's all right. Again, Robin was in the match for the most bit, dealing with Tony Storm. Tony Storm, the most ridiculous Iron Hip attack, sending Robin out to the floor. Then Saraya does some clotheslines. Saraya didn't do a whole lot here, which again, suspension of disbelief. Just saying. I know one time she did get a bit witted out or blown up or something like that. So just saying. Again, Saraya's still getting back in the things, folks. All right. Saraya then hits the running knee in the corner, followed by another running knee in the center of the ring, 2 count. And then there's Tad the Storm, who does snap suplex and a full Nelson. But Rama gets out of it, continues to fight back. As Torrance was like, come on, show me what you got. Elbows, nice Seguri, hot Tad to Charlotte, who clears the ring. 2-on-1 handicap affair, then charges into Tony Storm, but eats a shotgun drop kick, followed by another running hip attack that whiplash her head and neck in the corner. Damn. Super kick by Saraya, Storm 0. Super kick, Storm 0 finish. I guess that'll be their tag team combination. Call it effective. It was over. Hey, Moonlight Mirage.
Yeah.
Botch.
Well, Moonlight just appeared and then disappeared.
That was funny. And she's always welcome to AEW Spark. I'd love to get her take.
Yeah,
Stay
for
tuned,
sure.
folks.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, folks. There might be other voices on this platform here because, again, you see what this conversation becomes. We literally do spark an all-elite conversation. And not just on the actual content itself.
Sure.
But speaking of content, video package for Adam Kobe was shown as he continues to work his way to prepare back for reaction. By the way, my sources, in case you're wondering where I'm getting these notes from, All Elite Wrestling, Wrestling Headlines, WrestleZone. Thank you to all 3 of those. Always notarize your sources, folks. Anyway, Adam Cole, he's preparing. Like you said, man, he's coming into this thing as an uber babyface. People cannot wait to see what his combat match will be when he comes into the ring. Could it be as soon as AEW Revolution? Baby.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Wait
a
and
good
see.
point. We'll see.
As we move on to our main event of the night, it was Roosh taking on, and this was Ring of Honor vibes all over it. Roosh with Jose the Assistant and Preston Vance. I'm sorry, I don't know the new name of my head. Hair Grosso, something like that. Taking on the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels. Just hearing that friggin' Fallen Angel theme, man. I love that so damn much.
That was crazy. I couldn't believe he came out with that. I was like,
Right?
oh, wow. Okay. Still sucks because Dale Oliver sucks, but, you know.
Iconic.
Iconic.
It is what it is.
Iconic for sure.
Just like
can we just get Mikey Ruckus to take all of Dale Oliver's old shit and just fine tune it? Like, keep the tune, but just retune the drums, retune the guitar, you know, all that shit. That's all we need.
Mikey Ruckus has enough on his plate as it is, man. All right,
I'll fucking do it for free then. Just give it
all
to
right,
me.
I dare you to direct message him and see what happens.
Please.
Because you are more than capable. But okay, yeah, just do it on YouTube channel and send it to Mikey Ruckus. I'm sure
Yeah,
he'll get back with
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Daniels was basically in a handicap affair for the most part here.
Yeah.
Bruce, of course, going in with the early advantage after Daniels went for the early attack, suicide dive to the outside, but then he picked things up after a stretch referee, allowing Vance to come into play. Vance and Osei literally throwing money away on him. Seriously, what a waste of money. That definitely doesn't have dirty money. As Vance, of course, attacks Daniels with the camera cord as well. All the shenanigans possibly expect from Los Facciones Ingobernables because, well, they are the unguardable ones. Rude's back in control, a little bit of ground and pound action here. And, of course, we come back into ringside area. Vance at one point literally slaps Daniels in the face with a wad of cash. I don't know how painful that is, or is that just more, insulting? And meanwhile, Jose the Assistant at one point holds up Daniels, but Daniels finally fights back, gets the better of the two. There is a miscue, and Jose gets hit with a pump kick instead. Daniels takes out Jose, goes back inside the ring. We get a nice side cradle for 2 counts, still not enough. And then Daniels continues moving forward, Blue Thunder Bomb, 2 count again. Nobody wins with the Blue Thunder Bomb, but it's awesome when it is executed, I will say that. Death by driver follow-up by Christopher Daniels. Still not enough as we continue going forward. And then we get the Koji clutch as Bruce may have been in some trouble here. But it was I've seen a Koji clutch. But he was able, of course, to get to the ropes with assistance outside the Red's vision. Because, again, has to focus on seeing if he sees a verbal or an actual physical submission. And face to Vance, Bruce's foot conveniently was on the rope, which, of course, broke the hold. Ridiculous Uranage, and it was time to go for the BME, the best moonsault ever, but Roosh got the knees up. And Roosh pretty much had enough of this with the overhead belly-to-belly suplex explode the corner. And you know what happens when mess with the bull, as he is the Toro Bronco, the white bull. You get the horns, and there was no dodge here. It was over. 1, 2, 3. As Roosh prepares to destroy, per NJF, Bryan Danielson this week. Will he succeed? We'll find out soon enough. I enjoyed this match again. It called back to me, we knew it was a tune-up match because Rusev, of course, is facing Bryan Danielson, but also these two have history with Ring of Honor. And I could definitely see this run back again at some point. But what we know from this, Rusev is always still pissed, and Bryan Danielson, you will need to more so not prepare for Rusev, but be aware of the outside cronies.
Yes, and not only that, but there's multiple factors that could come in with that as well.
Yeah.
So,
Bryan Danielson against the world. Wouldn't be the first time, just saying.
Yeah, and Danielson and MJF are going to be on the show this week coming up on Dynamite. So.
Yeah, both in matches. Now, how convenient would it be if both those matches were back-to-back? MJF was first and tries to send a message to Bryan using the Salt of the Earth Fujiwara armbar, where you know that arm will not be 100% if he survives Roos. Bryan Danielson tries to come to contest his age. Roos then comes in, and we immediately just, okay, get everybody away from here. Let's go ahead, start this match. And, of course, Bryan Danielson's heart's like, ring the damn bell, I can wrestle, and we're off to the races. Right. There's some storytelling for you there, and that also eliminates the idea of Konosuke Takeshita trying to even the numbers of the outside interferences. So, again, I'm curious what this card's booking is going to look like.
Well,
I think I know what's going to be the main event.
Well, here's
Clearly.
the thing.
It's got to be the Elite.
Well, here's the thing. We're forgetting about one X factor that can help Danielson as well.
What would that be?
You're forgetting about the Blackpool Combat Club. You're forgetting about Claudio Wheeler and Moxley helping him out along with Takeshita.
Right.
That could be the difference maker. There's going to be a lot of things that happen there. I'm sure that, Max is going to try to interfere as well on that side. Who knows if Andrade El Idolo comes back, then you got a little bit of a fucking brawl going on all over the place,
That'd be a shocker right there.
So that could happen as well. What other predictions do we want to make here? Either way, I think we know Max and Bryan are going to win. They have to.
Yeah, I feel like it's safe to say that Max is going to win, Bryan's going to win. I think the Acclaim are going to retain. They're too hot of an original act. I think it's safe to say the Elite are going to retain. It would shock the hell out of me if Top Flight and AR Fox overcome the entire Elite, even if the Young Bucks have been unable to beat Top Flight in traditional tag team action. And then as far as Jamie Hayter versus the Bunny, if they don't try to continue the progressive storytelling of the superstars versus the AEW originals, and you don't have Tom Fu on the outside where Britt and Rebel might be colliding with Tony Storm and Saraya, and then Soho comes in, further making us wonder with Sarah Yuan, and Carl Shida shows up. Like, if this doesn't come into an all-out women's mosh, or as you would put it, can't fight on the outside during that match, but I'll say mosh pit, then I do see Jamie Hayter hitting the Haterade. Of course, the Ripcord Lariat, Rainmaker-esque. I call it the Haymaker. I do see a very aggressive physical fight because that's what the Bunny brings. So underappreciated. Acknowledge her. 16 years, folks. I do see Jamie Hayter winning, but it really would entice me to see for just one time. Because every time we hear World Title Eliminator, it's like, okay, you're trying to make the title actually matter here, but let's be honest, the champ's gonna win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What if one time for once they don't?
Maybe. Could be interesting if they go that route, I will say.
I'm just saying. That'd be a hell of a curveball into Revolution and be a first time ever title chance for the Bunny. I feel she definitely deserves it. Shoot.
Yeah.
And anytime the Bunny is on my screen, it's a match worth watching because she puts everything into it. Damn it.
So there you go.
But I digress. Respect to Allie.
What are the other matches we got? We got the tag team titles, right, next week?
Yeah, we got the Acclaim versus the Guns, and the biggest factor is going to be Daddy Yaz, where at the end of the day, is he going to, pull a DX and tell the Acclaim to suck it? Or is he going to continue to scissor and once again screw his own boys?
I think it's gonna go that direction. I think he's gonna screw over the Acclaimed and join back up with the Suns.
No.
I think it will. And you gotta consider why, though. You gotta consider why, because keep in mind who's gonna be back by Revolution time. They're gonna have that revenge built up for the Guns, FTR. So you would have to imagine that they're gonna have the belts on the line for that match. It has to happen, right? So I would think that the reason why they're going to give it to the Guns is if FTR is coming back and they're going to take the belts off them at Revolution. Now, they're basically going to be transitional champions, right? That's the idea.
Right.
And you're going to have the heel foil in Billy Gunn. Right? Now, this is completely out of left field, but who's to say Punk doesn't come back and help them? Or maybe not Punk, but Shawn Spears, who's friends with FTR, comes back yet again and helps out FTR. Then you got Shawn Spears and FTR again.
They are approaching Canada soon enough, but I also think about this, James, and we got to put this perspective. That's not the only thing in March that's happening. We also have Supercar of Honor, and in my opinion, if you're going to have somebody that carries on edition of tag team wrestling in Ring of Honor, because Mark Briscoe, God bless him, he's always going to carry the Briscoe name, but not one person can be a tag team champ. I could not find a better trade-off to lead a new Ring of Honor tag team division than FTR.
Maybe, yeah, true. I don't know. I think they went crazy last year with how many belts they had. And they just dropped them recently, all of them. I think they want to have just, if they're going to do one, they have to do the Guns, because that has the most story built into it.
And they want the AEW World Tag Team Champions back, and that's where it all began.
They already concluded the Briscoes feud, even though one of them is no longer with us. God rest Jay.
Reach for the sky, boy.
Right. So they already concluded the feud. So I think they're gonna go with the Guns here. I think if they do it, like, I would think it would have to be somebody that's super close with the Briscoes. And maybe they
Who wasn't close to the Briscoes?
Right.
Just saying.
So I'm thinking if nothing else, know, somebody from the Kingdom, maybe somebody from, Impact, just to help them out. There is ways that it could go.
Right.
But I hope they're not going to do the whole thing where Mark tries to defend him by himself. Because
hell no.
That's a rough thing to even consider. Because then you're just reminded really bad. You're going to be reminded regardless, but if he's the one defending
they're going to have a memorial. They're going to have something going on in Celebration Briscoe. I guarantee you that.
Right. So I feel like they have to do something with the Briscoes to actually get, somebody to help them. And there's a couple people I could think of, maybe, that could help them out. One of them's Tama Tonga, believe it or not. I could see him maybe stepping in as a last-minute, holder. And then, they drop the belts to whoever in Ring of Honor. Because unless they just are going to hold off on it until they can figure out what they're going to do until the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view, that always could be a possibility as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a setup, because you got to consider they're also going to start doing TV tapings. They're going to finally start building the Ring of Honor roster and the Ring of Honor network. So, for me, Supercar of Honor is going to be the launching pad for the new Ring of Honor officially, in my opinion. They're going to have a few tapings before that, just as a content library probably, and just suspension of idea with the roster. But again, we're going way off in the tangent here. Yeah. And the last thing, of course, is the Garcia Guevara gauntlet against European Society for Ricky Starks, where Ricky Starks will face Cool Angelo Parker, Matt Menard, Sammy, or Daniel, and if he beats all those men, he gets a one-on-one match with Chris Jericho, all in the same night.
Calling it now. Action Andretti's going to turn on Ricky Starks and join
up with Jericho. Not another pro wrestler turned sports entertainer. How dare you?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
No.
It's going to happen.
No.
If it happens, don't say it until you so.
You heard it here first. All right, but with that being said, as far as this Rampage goes, it was what it was. It was run-of-the-mill. It was a great hot opener, fun Ring of Honor vibes closer. The middle, kind of forgetful. But, hey, the Renegades had a good showing. Rampage, for me, is one of those that's like a comfort hour. It's not like the, holy crap, this is freaking crazy all the time, because it really isn't that. And more times over, it's been kind of more of a comfort zone. I feel Rampage is at its hottest when it goes into a countdown as your true go home into a pay-per-view for AEW. This right here, run of the mill. It basically teased, okay, this was ran towards the Marbal's tag team. Roos is going to do what he wants. And the Elite, they're out to prove why they are the best trio in AEW. Now, winning them, we're going to successfully defend them against anybody and anybody. No better three than us.
Yep.
3 beats 2.
There you go.
Young Bucks, Top Flight, additional parties, AR Fox, Kenny Omega. Let's freaking go. And with that being said, I think we will begin now to put ourselves.
Before we do, I wanna end with a message here because I don't know if I'm ever gonna get another chance to say this because I guarantee you I won't be on as often. But I am here this week, so
All right.
I want to at least say this because I don't know if open mic night I'll have the chance. We talked about last week when you were on, Noah, the passing of Jay Briscoe, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And finally, the Briscoes finally got on Turner. They finally broke through that ceiling, and they were forgiven. Basically, at the plead of Jay Lethal and company.
Tony Khan included.
Yep. I want to have a message said here because I could go on the rants I usually do and say that what they did was absolutely reprehensible, not forgiving them a lot sooner while Jay was still alive, and I do feel that way to a certain extent, but that's really
you have every right to.
It's not here nor there.
Right.
This is more of a general thing, and I think it's more than just wrestling. I think it's just a life thing, and I've noticed this as we've, I'm about to be 28 in September, so I'm 27 now. I think the idea that you cannot move on from your past and admit that every human being is flawed and people are going to make mistakes no matter how big or small they are, and not being able to forgive that person, and even if you're not religious or whatever, like, it just as a humanitarian thing, man. I think the Briscoes were the biggest sufferers of that. Because no matter how many times Jan Mark apologized for years, they never could get on TV. And I think the most heartbreaking thing for me is that it took Jay to be no longer with us to finally get the Briscoe name on TV. There's no way that should be happening. Like, I understand certain things cannot be said, but you can't apply that logic to the past. I don't care if it was 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. If they have apologized and they've tried to do better as a person, you gotta have a little bit of freaking leeway. And especially in the case of the Briscoes, they went above and beyond to the point where Effie yet again came in defense of them after the tragic news. Why now? Why did they have to take all of that for Turner to finally relent? Because the only reason why is because it would have made them look bad. And that's all it comes down to, is it makes them look bad. And I don't think that's how life should be lived. I don't care if it's TV. I don't care if it's anything. I think we need to have a lot more forgiveness. And if TV executives are scared to make those decisions because of mistakes that people have done in the past, even though they were willing to learn and had learned from their past and made themselves better people afterwards, we're going in the wrong direction in society, and I don't like it, and I think we need to turn the corner on that, because it's not a good look for entertainment, never mind just wrestling, I think we need to change that, and that's my message here. If nothing else, please be more kind, be more forgiving, try to be open-minded to where people came from. as opposed to just immediately saying what they did was unforgivable and going the cancel culture route, because it, honest to God, and I know this from experience, it genuinely helps nobody. It doesn't help any fucking buddy. That's my piece on that. I knew I wasn't gonna get another chance to say that, so I just wanted to get that out there, and yeah, we can get to the plugs now.
If Saul can become Paul, then human beings can be better overall.
Thank you.
Yep. Simple as that. James, God bless you.
Thank you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this edition of AEW Spark. It certainly went a lot further than I thought, but that is the beauty of what it means to be a fan of All Elite Wrestling and to reignite a conversation on such things included. Before we conclude for tonight's festivities, James, always a pleasure. Until next week, same time, live, not live, earlier, who knows? Fickle, we'll see. Till next time, anything you want to plug about, where can we find you?
Well, there's a few things I want to promote. Number one thing I want to promote, Butt Mashers is bringing back Stable Wars. And we got a new competitor throwing his hat into the ring. So not only will Noah Foster and Mistress Audio be a part of this, Michael X is back. He's coming back. He's going to try to reclaim the trophy of Stable Wars. He's got his stable lined up as well. So we got Back in Black as his faction taking on the Shadow Warrior Squad, which is Noah's faction, versus the Dream Blunt Rotation, which is Mistress's stable, versus Terry Bogard, who is the king of Pokemon, which is my stable. It's all fighting taste, by the way. Spoiler alert. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be fun. That's going to be, I'm really enjoying, I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most this week that isn't wrestling. Stay tuned for the Don DeMarco show, because I'm going to try to talk to King. We're going to try to start a Tech 9 binge. We're going to be doing some of that stuff here. Don DeMarco show going to be making a comeback. Stay tuned for that. Check out episode 2 if you haven't already. You could check out our NASCAR Thunder 2004 Let's Play series. All of those videos are on Casey's channel, as well as the Button Mashers playlist, which you could check out here. That will be where the iCard is for all Button Mashers. You could check out me on Open Mic Night right after Enough Said, so stay tuned for that as well. And stay tuned for more coverage of Impact and AEW events where I'll be on the Jeff Meacham Network. And soon, a content and review relaunch with Mistress Audio and I coming soon. So all of that and more coming to FTW Productions, as well as AEW Spark, WWE Aftershock again this Saturday coming up, which will be live. It will be the first live WWE. It will be the first live anything on Owen's channel in 3 years. So go check that out. And finally, last but certainly not least, go check out Women's Youth Wrestling if you haven't already. Here's the link to the intro, the iCard. That's pretty much all I got to promote. So there you go.
Hey, respect, man. Again, you stay busy. I keep it simple, but even I just constantly keep busy with watching all things wrestling. So there you go. And folks, if you want to know more about me, know this, for I am just a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it!
Buy the shirt.
But I digress. I don't market myself. Support my friends. Find me on the Twitter and YouTube at @nfoster1916 for all things wrestling. Shout, of course, to our entire AEW family on the Twitter. AEW View will be returning soon for AEW Revolution and WrestleMania week. And again, Lord help my voice with how much content I'm going to do and how much I'm going to call too. Stay tuned this week for my voice in the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media as me and good old JM Jeff Meacham provide you play-by-play live reactions and coverage of the NWA's first pay-per-view this year. Enough said. And again, like I said, Camille defends the Burke against Energy to Love. Matt Cardona goes after 10 pounds of gold against Tyrus, and so much more, too. Of course, the following week, City Predicting returns with another City Predicting panel. Tentative, I think, Friday 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, next week, Friday night. That is the 17th, folks, for, of course, the Elimination Chamber. And, of course, the following week after that, probably the same time, with me and Jerry of 1,000 names, and probably James and ours too, will of course be doing some predicting for Impact Wrestling's next show, No Surrender, and so much more to come too. Other content that might come across my Simple brand, maybe I'll do some audio-based Simple takeaways on the latest things that have happened in NJPW, including the New Beginning Tour, the headline title matches that have happened there, as well as Stardom's latest show, as well as Kijimuto's /professional wrestling match, Last Love Professional Wrestling Noah pay-per-view, and more content to come too. You'll find me around on No DQ. You'll find me down around the Meltdown Wrestling League on the Roundtable. And of course, you'll find me and James each week, Saturday night on Open Mic Night, including this week. But again, that's just all other things that are ahead and so much more. Because I always stay busy. Because I like engaging with others in wrestling too. But as always, let it conclude, there are no winners, no losers, no betters. Just fans with opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, treasure your families, and just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that. So with that being said, thank you so much once again for tuning in. Please subscribe, comment, and tell a friend. Hit the bell to let this video goes live on demand on this channel or any of the constituent channels here on FTW Productions. And let's keep growing this YouTube community together. We're not laying up the content anytime soon. Let's strive and always try to be better. Until next time, this has been AEW Spark as we pull the plug, and I leave you with this. Make a positive impact in life and have a good night. For we are AEW.
Bang.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as AEW content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.